The 9-year NFL veteran now logs on daily for battles with teammates old and new because it's, quote, a cool way to keep in contact, he says.
Remember Game with Fame? You used to be able to sign on and play a game with Kid Rock? Like, come on, that's such a good idea.
Here's an interesting thing you might not have known about Marshawn Lynch. As a bonus, the game aligns with Lynch's on-field philosophy.
I didn't know that. What is
indiscriminate murder, apparently. You're shooting up everything, but always fighting for a bigger picture. The whole game is beast mode.
Welcome to the Beast Mode Podcast.
Oh, no.
By Call of Duty. How's it going, everybody? I missed you guys. It's been a long time.
Peanut butter M&Ms?
It's been nearly, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's been like 2 weeks since the last show. That's weird.
I'm not done with this Marshawn Lynch thing.
You can keep going with the Marshawn Lynch
thing.
Well,
Marshawn Lynch is inside of this big LED ball that captures his face at 360 degrees. He asks many questions. How many lights you got on here? You counting them little shits too? Is this healthy? And then someone replies, yes, Kevin Spacey went through the same process for his role in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Marshawn replies, who? The dude from the Jetsons? He thinks Kevin Spacey is the lead actor in the Jetsons.
Look, the guy's got to just run a ball down a grassy field for a living. He didn't ask for brains, all right? Just let it go.
Snoop Dogg thinks Game of Thrones is real. Quick.
Snoop Dogg thinks Game of Thrones is real.
He thought it was historically accurate from a thing I saw.
I remember seeing dragons in the year 1650 in my
Maybe he didn't see the dragon episodes.
I don't know if there's dragons in Game of Thrones. I haven't seen it.
All right.
Is Game of Thrones a good show?
No.
No? Okay. I didn't think so.
It's a really good show. I watch it a lot.
We got some purple going on the podcast now.
What does this mean? Oh, we got a new overlay.
Yeah.
The overlay.
Oh.
I was looking at the cameras and going,
we were getting some fat loots.
Mm-hmm. We got some epic polls, or no, it's drops, right? Is it polls or drops?
Drops.
Epic polls?
Epic polls. You never heard
that?
You
think we're doing a raid?
No, you pull mobs. You pull the mobs.
You pull mobs.
Epic polls. Marshawn Lynch believes his digital doppelganger must be a dish of 3 key ingredients. He better have dreads, gold teeth, and my distinctive walk. Then people will be like, oh, that's really beast mode right there.
Otherwise, I wouldn't believe it. I don't even know if I'm going to begin the podcast at any point where this Marshawn Lynch stuff has context. So the more you can introduce it to the conversation, I think is probably for the best. But
as far as the entire podcast.
Yeah, that would probably be better. But as far as the actual docket is concerned today, we're going to be talking about Steam refunds, which is kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. Also, I guess we should talk about E3 a little bit, even though I didn't discuss talking about E3 in the pre-show prep that we usually discuss what we're going to talk about in. So that's a good way to introduce the topic. Yeah. Super Meat Boy coming to the PS4 and the Vita, which I basically surmised the entirety of that story based on what I just said in that sentence. Dark Souls 3 screenshots have been leaked, a little bit of info on that. Fallout 4 is coming. The Witcher 3 sells over 4 million copies. We're going to go into a bit of a... I think it's time for a retrospective on Witcher 3. I think it deserves it at this point. Hearts of Iron 4. Mathis and Ryan were actually over in good old UK, right? Looking at that one. And then for games today, we're going to be talking about Duck Game. Quack. And that's it. Start off with Steam refunds.
No, we're going to start off with one last quote regarding Marshawn Lynch's performance in Black Ops 3.
My bad.
Eric Hirschberg, CEO of Activision, says Marshawn Lynch is the perfect match for Call of Duty. I mean, he's a guy who fills stadiums, crushes competitors, and has a beast mode. What could be more COD than that?
What could be more COD than that?
When I think of Call of Duty, it's, first off, crushing competitors. Secondly, filling stadiums is like a huge part of it. And then finally, beast mode, if you even have to say it, which I don't think we do.
I heard gold fillings as a part of that, didn't I?
Dreadlocks.
That's a huge part of Call of Duty.
Lack of education is a big part of Call of Duty.
Whoa, jeez, you clearly played college football, man.
Which by proxy means he attended a college. We have to give him some credit for being in attendance there.
Do they still do that live meetup thing for Call of Duty where you like go through these little training exercises and like pretend shoot eeach other?
Yeah,
that used to be a thing.
Happens.
Then at the end,
they should bring
put you
him
on an airplane and just fly you out to be deployed.
It's actually just U.S. Army training.
Yeah. They tried Arma 3 out for a little while and decided that wasn't realistic enough. They needed to, beast mode
enough UAV activations or whatever.
How many stadiums has Arma 3 filled? I ask you this.
Less than one.
Less than one, I agree.
Which
is
stadium?
Unfortunate.
Probably something in Europe.
Yeah.
Doesn't even count.
Jesus.
Says the guy just came back from there.
I can't even count.
You can request a refund for nearly any purchase on Steam, including for Call of Duty, for any reason. Maybe your PC doesn't meet the hardware requirements. Maybe you bought a game by mistake. Maybe you played the title for an hour and just didn't like it. Introducing Steam Refunds. Valve will, upon request, issue a refund for any reason. Now this, I think, is addressing 2 bits of negative PR that Steam has gone through recently. One, obviously Steam mods that were not very well received by the general populace. And 2, the fact that they got something like a D- rating for customer service on a recent poll of like all digital distributors. So I think they're just pulling out all the stops of, you know what, we love you so much, dear valuable money buckets, that we want to put some more money in your buckets if you run out of money for your bucket, so you can give us more money from your bucket.
We love you so much, we'll give you a basic consumer right.
Right.
It's I mean, okay, yeah, that's a cynical appeal, but
I'm with Nick. No, it's something that should have been, and people have been saying should have been part of Valve's terms since they've launched.
The previous policy, as far as I'm aware, is they would give you one refund after a little bit of hassle, and that was it. Like, you
was
couldn't
that
get
part of the
one.
policy? It said, okay, so we're gonna hassle you a little bit for about a few days, and then maybe you'll get your money.
Well, they have to put up like
if you're
2
gonna
levels of
twist my
resistance.
arm clause.
Yeah.
So here's a question that I think lies at the fundamental kind of crux of whether or not you're going to support Steam refunds, and that's if you buy a bad piece of media. Let's put it this way: if you buy a piece of media and you don't like it, are you entitled to a refund? Like, if you applied this to movies, if you go see a movie and it's bad, are you entitled to a refund?
You can get one.
You can get one.
But should you be able to?
Are you entitled to one?
Yeah.
Is anyone entitled to anything?
Okay, then that's
We're all gonna die.
Is anyone anything?
Let's just be nihilists for the entire 2 hours of the show today.
We are all going to die someday, but you can't take the money with you. So, ergo, Steam refunds.
So what does the rest of the docket even matter if we're all just going to die? I mean, why talk about video games? They don't mean anything. Who cares?
I'm a pussy, basically. So I've seen bad movies, and I know that you can walk out and be like, I want my money back because that movie sucked. But I don't want to be like, I don't want to do that. And I feel like the only difference between that and like Steam refunds is that you're doing it anonymously over the internet. You don't actually have to like go face somebody and have them judge you when they talk to you. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. But I'm looking at this article from Kotaku where like the Puppy Games, the developers of Revenge of the Titans, are like, well, here's our Steam sales graph for like this month, and here's what happens when Steam refunds are announced. And it literally does drop from like, well, they don't have like the scale, but it drops from like not 0 to just slightly above 0, claiming that there's a 55% refund rate on Revenge of the Titans alone.
Wow.
Okay, but we're also people are not taking into account, this is the first few days. If you didn't think that the refunds were going to fucking spike like crazy in the first week, 2, maybe even a month before things level out, that's fine. And the people who are buying your games and are refunding it, there's just you really think there's going to be a good chance that those people wanted to play your game in the first place? You don't think there's going to be people out there testing the waters, trying to just buy things, refund it, see how things go, or trolls just being douchebags on the internet? Because, wow, that's new. I really think that give it a month, maybe 2, we're going to see a level out, and we're going to be on a normal kind of pace. I don't think it's going to be this swirling chaos of no developers making games ever again on Valve forever.
No, that's ridiculous.
I think there's probably a lot of people that are just going through their old Steam library games, looking at things they haven't played in a year and trying to get a refund off of that, too.
It's possible. I mean, if they have games in their list that they were like, I bought this game, I hated it, I played it for a half an hour, and now I can get my money back for it, then sure, go for it.
Actually, I'm now considering getting a refund on my $2 I spent on EYE Divine Cybermancy.
Yo, that game... You shouldn't get a refund for that game because we can get $2.50 worth of conversation out of it.
Right. I probably got $2.50 worth of trading cards out of it, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Dude, as soon as they announced Steam refunds, I'm like, oh shit. There's going to be some, like, subculture that's going to buy
manipulation,
games,
right? Yeah.
farm the trading cards and then refund them. And then Steam's going to, or Valve's going to have to issue a statement that is like, okay, well, if you've ever sold a trading card from the game, you can't refund it or something like that.
That's gonna
They made a statement that's like, we're going to watch out for people trying to abuse this. So they do care at least a little bit. That should count for something.
You got to give it time. I mean, you also have other developers. For instance, the Project Zomboid developers, just because I'm friends with them, they've said that they're not affected by the refund policy at all. And as long as you make a game worth spending your money on and people are happy with it, they're not going to return it. And they said they haven't been affected pretty much at all by the Steam refund policy with their game. And they've sold a ton of them. So I think it's really going to be a game-to-game kind of situation. If your game is not worth the perceived price, which again is going to vary from person to person, obviously, then they're going to return it. But don't expect the first week to be indicative of the future.
I should say I'm pro Steam refunds, and I actually do trust Valve to, given time, basically vet the procedure so that they're not just, people are not buying like games that are 90 minutes long, playing them for 90 minutes, and then refunding them to get the full purchase price back. But there's some things that I would like to see, like kind of like a statute of limitations on when you can get your refund. I understand this is the first week, but to have people refunding games that maybe they bought like 6 months ago seems fucked up. Yeah. Like that, to me, that's like the developers have already, gotten their payout from Valve, spent the money, paid taxes on the money, and now they have to remunerate the people that bought it, which is pretty fucked up, I think. But
actually, I'm just now seeing there is a clause that says it has to be within 2 weeks of the purchase of the game.
There you go.
There's that.
Mm-hmm. But according to the Kotaku article, there are refunds being issued for games purchased months ago.
Yeah.
But it's kinks, so it is good that there's a time limit at least planned, even if it's not functional fully yet. I believe that it will be.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a perspective that should clear the water for the most part when people are looking at this as a sort of thing that could be taken advantage of and have malicious intent. But the bottom line is being affected across the board. It's not like Steam is the one that's profiteering off of, okay, well, we'll allow people to just funnel things through the refund system and then we'll just keep our percentage cut. No, it's like Steam obviously wants to make this work properly because they're losing money if they go through a system that reduces sales overall. If people can create charts for multiple games showcasing the fact that these refunds are losing them money, that means Steam is also losing money. So they're obviously going to be concerned about it from that perspective. I don't think it's going to be anything that we have to get up all in arms about. It's in general a very good thing that needs to be refined, more or less.
What about the 2-hour issue? Do you feel that that's really going to be a thing for people buying games under 2 hours long, playing them through and returning them?
I think that's where the Valve curation of people making sure they're not abusing the system needs to come into play. I'd be curious to see if it remains 2 hours or the length of the game kind of thing. If people are playing the game and returning it, I would hope at least at some point, whether it's happening now or it's going to happen a week from now, Valve is like, you played the length of the game. It's clear you beat the game. We're not going to give you our money back. I mean, having watched the Jim Sterling video on the situation, one of his suggestions he proposes is have the time limits vary from game to game. Maybe it be a percentage of the game's time.
Right, but then you have to quantify how long a game is.
Right, yeah, and that kind of enables the whole sector of people that like to make the value versus time argument of this as a $60 game I only spent 6 hours on. What is this horse hockey? I'm not paying for this. Right. Which is ridiculous.
I'll take the position that I actually think that 2 hours is kind of an unreasonably long grace period for a refund.
What's Origins? Origin has a refund policy where if you play X amount of time, I'll look it up. You guys keep talking.
I feel like even if you're talking about an 80-hour game, within the first 45 minutes, assuming it's not all cutscenes, you should know. But I feel like the average game is definitely shorter than it is. It's less likely to be in that 80-hour camp than it is in the 5-hour camp. So I feel like 2 hours it's nice because it's again very pro-consumer, the fact that you get a lot of time for it. And I don't even necessarily think that makes it more abusable. I just it's like the movie analogy. Could you watch the whole movie and then walk out and be like, I didn't like it, can I get my money back?
Even further than that, I like to compare it to something like You order a bowl of chicken Alfredo, and then you
Exactly.
eat all but one noodle and bring it back to the waiter and say, "This is terrible. I don't
like
this
this
anymore." Yeah.
So
Why eat
EA's
it all? Yeah.
Origin's return policy is you may return EA full game downloads, PC or Mac, and participating third-party titles. So I guess you have to sign up to participate to that. Purchase on Origin for a full refund. Refund requests can be made within 24 hours after you first launch the game, within 7 days from your date of purchase, or within 7 days from the game's release date if you pre-ordered, whichever comes first. And if you purchase a new EA game within the first 30 days of its release date and can't play it due to technical reasons within EA's control, you can request... That's just EA's
No,
control.
that's the SimCity clause right
Yeah, it
there.
is.
That's what that is.
You can request a refund within 72 hours after you first launch the game instead of 24. So if it's a technical problem, you have an extra 2 days.
You remember that whole fiasco, though? I actually remember going through the Amazon Games portal when SimCity was having all those issues because I wanted to get a refund for it, and they were the ones that actually ended up helping me out. I think they were kind of circumventing the system a little bit, too, because I'm pretty sure EA did not really want to issue refunds to people for a game that actually couldn't be played. There's maybe even like a fucking legal precedent to that, too, of providing a product that does not actually meet the expected
So every
outcome.
Ubisoft game in the past 2 years?
Oh,
That's
man.
just ridiculous, man.
Sorry, 5 years?
Games being bad and games not working are two different cases.
So you're going to say Unity worked properly?
Yeah, for the
I'm
most
saying
part.
Unity actually physically functioned, yes. I'm
So,
saying
like, crashed
SimCity
or
literally
glitched.
could not be played in
I understand
a
that.
state
I'm
that
not
it was
saying
in.
that it's any better.
I'm saying it's better. I'm saying his league's better. And the measurement for nautical purposes, if you wanted to play SimCity under the ocean. There's also, of course, with the refunds on downloadable content, on in-game purchases, pre-purchase titles. They've got all those little notes there as well. But I think it's if you've been banned by the Valve anti-cheat system, you lose the right to refund your game. So you gotta,
wow.
yeah,
That's
make
actually
sure
nice.
you're not cheating. But they don't offer refunds for movies on Steam. So there's the answer to your
yeah.
analogy, Ryan.
Why not? That's the next thing.
Yeah.
I watched 15 minutes of game loading, and it's not for me. So what it comes down to, this whole discussion is like, based in hypotheticals, can it be abused? My philosophy is that probably Valve will take an approach that minimizes abuse, and that's kind of deliberately vague, but we're also not actually living in that reality yet because we're still so early. So, I mean, there has to be something that protects developers who make games that are that are shorter than 2 hours. Otherwise, the system just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're never like games like the Stanley Parable or Gone Home and stuff like that won't be on Steam. And even if you're not a big fan of those games, they should be on Steam probably. And it's not like it puts developers in a bad position if they don't protect them like that, because there's nowhere else that they can sell their games with like bad juju going out of business literally last week. So Desura's gone up. They can't just sell it on itch.io and hope to reach critical mass with games like that if that's even something they desire. But I have faith that they'll get it taken care of. I just wonder, like, I'm interested to see what like equilibrium refund rates are going to be like.
I think it's like Mathis said. I think it's going to die down after a little while. I think people will kind of forget that this was a big deal after about a month or two. I think it's just going to become... I didn't realize that Origin had a refund system, for example. I think that might not even have been that big of news. It's just that Steam has such a goddamn near monopoly on the digital distribution market right now that it's huge when they present something like this. Well, I guess especially when you consider the fact that this should have been in place in the beginning with the refund system that worked kind of well.
I think you could see a relatively huge refund rate, and it's kind of irresponsible to approximate numbers or percentages, but I think if people start using this as like, the game doesn't have a demo, so I'm going to buy it and then play it for like 45 minutes, and if I like it, then I'm going to keep it, otherwise I'm going to refund it. I think you could actually see like huge amounts of refunds in that case. I guess the question is that an invalid case? Like, is that an erroneous case of refund, or is that something the consumer should have a right to do, to basically test out the game for themselves, and then if they like it, keep playing it, or if not, then, just shelve it and get their money back?
Yeah. I think 100% completion of the game, I think finishing the game from start to finish, if there's even a way to quantify that as far as, a behind-the-scenes thing is concerned, that would definitely, dissuade my concerns about that. But not likely that that's really a possibility. I don't know. I mean, they've got the achievement system, obviously, that's built into Steam itself, which they could... well, here's a theory, perhaps, is that there's the potential of a certain achievement being unlocked prohibits your ability to refund the game beyond that point, just because that means, you know, you've achieved a certain level of completion with the game.
The tutorial.
Yeah, something like that, maybe.
It'd be nice if you had like a little forewarning though before you cross that threshold, especially if they put it in a different place every time. You know,
it's just
shouldn't
a mystery.
You also, like, for most games and most consumers, shouldn't you know in advance? Maybe this is just because this is how the industry has worked for like 20 years, and I'm being too much of a traditionalist. But there are sources that you can go to see if a game unequivocally sucks. If a game's not for you, that's something different. But if you're like buying a game and you're like, well, everybody says it sucks, but I'm going to buy it anyway, and then if it really does suck, I'll just refund it. I kind of feel like you should sort of get burned on that.
Don't tell people they need to establish a sense of personal responsibility, man. That's ridiculous. No.
I'm kind of with Ryan on that, actually. I feel the same way. If you're going to be dishonest about it and you're going to say, hey, I didn't like this game, maybe it's not for me or something, I want my money back anyway, like, that's kind of on you.
Yeah.
There's plenty of venues to figure that out now.
But now, I mean, the onus is upon Steam to decide where that threshold lies. And that is a scary thing, actually. Beyond the concerns of whether or not this is a system designed to, you know, allow for malicious abuse, it's Steam's call of now in the future they get to decide where to draw the line of how far into your experience with the game is when they think you don't deserve a refund anymore. So that's going to be interesting to see whether or not that gets taken further. There's a fly on my filter.
I think we all agree, though, there should have been a return policy, right? Like, that's not something...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Policy years ago.
There's so many valid cases. If you buy a game and your computer is not up to snuff to get it to work, you should be able to definitely get a refund. If it's like willfully misrepresented in an egregious way and you play for like 2 minutes and hate it, you should probably be able to get a refund. If you buy it accidentally, you should be able to get a refund.
If the graphics look better in E3 than they do in the actual game, obviously that's $60 you need back in your pocket.
That's just misleading marketing.
But should that be something that people can get a refund for? Or should the consumers be informed in advance based on the number of people who are reviewing the game and uploading videos of it well in advance? Like,
I mean, the folks that are buying blind on day one now have a protection clause. So
it's funny to watch. Like, all these years, people have been screaming, "We need a refund system. We need a refund system." We get one now. People are yelling that it's terrible. There are people who are just.
I don't know, man. I don't think the general consensus is that
a lot of saying they're getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Well, that's what people yell. My Twitter has filled a lot of just conflicting opinions of this is great and this is terrible.
If you're a developer and like your sales for this week have plummeted to the negative hundreds, I think you have a cause to at least be alarmed.
Yeah, for sure. I don't blame you at all for having that.
But then you ask, why is it going below 100? Like, why are so many people returning your game? What's the purpose?
Because they can, I guess. Like, what if you pay $5 for a game and you play it for an hour, and then you can get a refund on it because of the Boolean, like, they played it for under 2 hours?
Well, what did I hate it?
It doesn't matter. You could play it and love it for that hour and then just be like, I'm kind of done with it now. I'd like my $5 back.
If you could just go eat at a restaurant for free.
Same policy, though.
But GameStop would probably consider that abuse, too.
No, they actually, as long as it was within 7 days and you had a receipt, you could return a game as many times as you wanted, unless the manager was like, you should stop.
Yeah.
And even then, you had to kind of come up with a reason why.
It's like counting cards at a casino. It's not necessarily illegal, but the pit boss will show up at GameStop and tell you gotta stop returning games.
My manager would tell people, if you hated it, come back in 7 days to get another one. And there are people who that's what they would do. They'd spend $60, and for the next month, they'd cycle through every new release. And
that money is going... It stays in GameStop either way. And I hate to pull this card of, like, the big guy versus the little guy, but if the Revenge of the Titans player plays for 80 minutes, refunds it, despite, I would consider like 80 minutes, if you enjoyed it, is probably worth $5 or maybe $10 if you knew what you were getting into, at least. Not everyone's going to have the same value proposition. But anyway, that money leaves his hands, stays within Steam, but then goes to somebody else. So it's not like he is having like a win-win situation either way. Like, if someone buys his game and then refunds it, he's out.
Does it stay within Steam or does it go back on your card?
Oh, I'm assuming that it's going to go back to Steam at some point, basically.
What about a sliding system? Like as you play more, you get less back as a refund.
I would actually, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but people will be furious.
That would be, yeah. I don't think that would be very well received.
So like you get the first 20 minutes or half hour free, and then it starts to take a percentage.
And then you see that percentage ticking down on the top of the screen.
Oh, that's the last thing we need is more
back.
like community market shit where you like watch. You're like, I gotta sell this game right now. It's peaking.
What if you do something like? If you've played for under an hour, you can return it for a full refund. Once you cross the hour mark, you have 7 days.
I don't know, man. I feel like I really hate this kind of discourse in most situations. Like, oh, this game is good for an indie game, or like, I'm gonna buy this to support the developer, even though I don't think the game is that good. If people want to do that, that's fine. But I really feel like there is a chance that this policy definitely hurts the little guys more if your game is 2 hours long, like, or there are a lot of indie games I play for like an hour, and I'm like, this is good and is worth the $5 that they're charging, but it's not really worth 6 hours. And I think those games kind of exist in that space where they can be kind of screwed if people decide willfully to sort of abuse the refund system because they can.
Like, if you didn't agree with the pricing scheme of whatever that developer set that game at, like, for example, we played Toy Box Turbos last night on the NLSS, that was $15. If we decided in that hour, we're like, all right, we got our money's worth, 15 might have been too pricey for that, we want our money back. Like, I don't agree that that's the right thing to do, but people might make that decision.
Exactly. I paid $15 for Toy Box Turbos yesterday. We played an hour. We might never play it again. We might play it again. But it's kind of willfully dishonest to get a refund for it.
I would not think that's honest to do that.
Do you guys think this will do anything to help with the issue of piracy of games?
No.
No?
No.
The people who are going to abuse the system are people who probably would have pirated anyway, to put it in the words of Jim Sterling.
And yeah, it's the same lost sale argument like the Jim Sterling video said, like about whether or not they return something. You don't know if that counts as a sale because it's piracy or it's not. It doesn't matter. We can't tell.
I actually have Jim Sterling's transcript for his latest Jim position right here. If you just want to read this out,
just go ahead and read it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of this actually from the perspective of a developer as well. I'm now realizing, like, there's just like a very real concern about our livelihoods being impacted if we're developers at risk of losing a whole bunch of money to refunds on Steam. I don't even know what I'm trying to equate it to. It would be like if, as a YouTuber, people go back and realize that they didn't really enjoy the last 2 weeks of content that you put up, so they just took back all the ad revenue that they gave to you, all those fractions of a penny. But thousands of people doing that.
It's called ad blocker.
Yeah, it's a serious...
It's like people donating to you on Twitch and then not following through with the payment.
Oh, and the chargebacks. Yeah, that's actually a really good analogy for it. Chargebacks on PayPal.
But doesn't PayPal block you after that? If you do that?
StreamTip blocks you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Just saying, as an analogy.
PayPal doesn't do shit, man. PayPal doesn't care.
The only thing, and I realize that I'm kind of taking the approach of maybe arguing more pro-developer than pro-consumer, but I do think Steam refunds are a good policy if it can be executed properly. What worries me is that there does need to be some scaling based on the length of the game. If you only play AAA games, it's very easy to say, like, well, if a game's like less than 2 hours long, it sucks, which is just not true. Some people are into that stuff. And I do believe that otherwise good people will take advantage of the refund policy if they can. If you have a limited budget and you pay $15 for a game, after an hour you decide it's pretty good, but I'd rather have my $15 back. I think people will do that.
I think that's perfectly justified, too. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think it's...
People, print off coupons for like restaurants and like scan them and photocopy them and stuff like that. They're not bad people. They just can get more money out of it.
But that's just the problem of introducing anything pro-consumer into any market. There are people who are going to abuse it no matter what it is. Like you just said, you're going to have to live with that.
We're going to have Extreme Couponing Steam Edition pretty soon here.
That'd be awesome.
What worries me a little bit is whether or not Steam has basically the manpower, because you are going to need people to look at this on a case-by-case basis if it's going to work optimally. Do they have the kind of manpower basically to look at this on a case-by-case basis and be like, okay, you played like an hour of Proteus and you want your money back, but it's, the median playtime in Proteus is only like 45 minutes, so you played more than the median, we think your case is somewhat suspect, blah, blah, blah. I've never had to deal with Steam support, but I've heard stories that it can take a long time to get.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I had my account stolen once,
Right.
and it took them about a week actually to get back to me, which was very frustrating because in that process, I was worrying that whoever stole it was going to cheat or whatever and get my UAC thing banned.
Oh, yeah.
Or VAC, whatever the hell it's called. VAC, and then not be able to get my stuff back, which is kind of a big deal. So I was in this moment of like severe anxiety waiting for that to happen. But they did come through for me and all was resolved. It just took a little longer than I would have liked.
I mean, they've only got one customer service representative, so you got to give them a little bit more time.
The median playtime idea also has a backlash of something like, think CK2 or Elder Scrolls, where median's probably a few hundred hours. People could put 50 or 60 to 100 hours in it and be like, I'm done, and it's below the median, give me my money back.
Well, that's what I'm sort of getting at, is like the fact that every game needs, at least if it's going to work perfectly, which it won't, but if it's going to work near perfectly, every game almost needs to have its own separate analysis of like when it's okay to get a refund. And there's like 30 games coming out on Steam every single day right now. So I almost wonder if they're going to default to like a semi-automated process. And I think if it does end up being that, it is the small developers that end up probably getting hurt.
Yeah.
Can't the developer just specify what that point is for themselves when they submit
This is part of the submission process to Steam. Yeah, that could easily be worked into it, I bet.
I mean, I mean, this whole argument can go back to Steam needs some sort of curation again, because a big reason that this is even a part of it, outside of the fact that people we want it, is that early access games are 90% trash now, and people who are just throwing up half cobbled together games and saying it's the next big survival game, Stomping Lands being a really good example that happened a few months ago, and just trying to rake in a ton of money and not being able to get your money back for buying what is essentially just a fraud game, and Steam having no ability, or not no ability, but not doing any curation and putting these games up there. So, I mean, if we want to have this working in a perfect world, Steam now needs to put floodgates on early access again. Because that is, I think, one of the big reasons this is even a thing now.
That is, I do agree with that. But that's also a Steam issue, and I don't think Steam gets punished for it. I think the developers get punished for it in the refund policy.
I agree, it's definitely the curation thing is Steam's problem. They shouldn't have opened the floodgates to early access in the first place.
If you're a dev who makes a decent game, but it's in early access and people have unreasonable expectations, because there's a floodgate of those games and a huge negative perception of them right now, you might end up eating shit on the refund policy because Valve has let a lot of shit in instead. Which, I mean, I'm not worried about developers of games that are almost objectively bad getting fucked by the refund policy.
You could also look at it in a positive way, where now developers need to be super careful before releasing their game on early access and make sure it is in a playable and fun state, as opposed to releasing something that is buggy as shit, aka DayZ, when it hit early access. And now they have to have some sort of quality to their game before they go out in early access, or they're going to have people refunding their game. How many times has a decent, otherwise decent game later on in development released their game so early with all these promises on early access, and when people boot it up, it's like, this shit doesn't even fucking work. So, on the other hand, now developers are going to have to look at their game and go, is this ready, even on early access, for player consumption?
We're just coming at it from different sides of this scattershot approach.
Right.
If you go too developer friendly, some consumers will get fucked by not getting refunds for games that they probably have a valid complaint about. If you go too consumer friendly, some developers are going to get fucked by invalid refund requests. The question is going to be where Valve, or how Valve ends up drawing that line. Because I agree, in my head when you were talking about DayZ, I'm like, consumers should protect themselves and not buy it until it's out. I still really do believe that if you're going to buy an early access game and be like, well, this doesn't meet my expectations, you shouldn't be able to get a refund.
Well, DayZ might have been a bad example because they said don't buy our game. Let me go to one that made false promises up and down like crazy and showed screenshots and videos of a game that looked amazing. The Dead Linger.
Yeah.
That game was a fucking shit show when it came out 2 years ago, and it's still a goddamn shit show now. That is a game that is a prime example of lying, and no way for any news outlet to play the game before it hit early access, and just showed false stuff all over the place. War Z is another really good example of false advertising. It happens.
That's
I'm not
what
saying
this policy is here for.
That's what I think it's going to be good, and I think you're right in that, Ryan, that it's going to need. We'll see what Valve does in a month and see what kind of refining and polishing they do to the refund system.
The only thing I'm worried about is collateral damage. Is stuff that should not be refunded being refunded and hurting the developers of it. And I don't know.
I don't think that can be avoided.
If it's in the current system, well, it can be avoided by not having a refund policy. The question is whether or not it's worth it, which most people would probably say it's not worth it. But you're talking about like the extremes, like the War Z. Definitely, I understand that that's like a reasonable request. I just worry that like if the system is going to be automated, you have to rely on kind of the kindness of people acting anonymously on the internet, and I don't think that will. Like, I think people in real life, you can commit fraud in real life. Most people just don't do it for a variety of reasons. Either, it's intimidating, or they're great people, or they don't want to go to jail. Online, without any possible consequences and repercussions, I think it's going to be potentially a little bit more of a Wild West thing. And I wouldn't be surprised to see heavily inflated refund numbers, at least until it gets worked out. And that gives me a little bit of caution, but I do think it's good that they're at least taking a step towards a refund policy. And it'll be interesting to see how it equalizes or hits equilibrium.
Yeah. As someone who would rather eat a shitty pizza than go through the trouble of trying to get my money back for it, I actually am kind of considering seeing if I can get a refund on a Steam game. Because
you don't have to deal with the people.
Yeah, it's such a simplified process now of just click, 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 and then the money's in my pocket or my.
We should just do it live on the cast right now. Let me find a game that I'll talk to the developer first.
I was just gonna say,
them like $8.50.
Yeah, if you're a developer, I want to actually hear your perspective on this too. Remember when being greenlit was an important thing? By the way, those were the days.
I would refund the Dead Linger, but I think they gave me the code.
I liked Bit Trip Void, but I only played it for 59 minutes 3.5 years ago.
Well, you can't get a refund on that then. I'm thinking something like, let's see, what have I bought in the last 2 weeks? I don't know if I bought anything in the last 2 weeks, actually.
Toybox Turbo.
Oh, I did buy something, actually. I bought You Must Build a Boat a couple days ago.
Here's something. If you refund a game, we should, like, completely make it impossible to buy that game again. Because it would be
definitely.
if you like bought it at $15, refunded it, and then waited until it got down to like $2.50 and bought it again. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other issue. Yeah.
People would get really mad if that was a policy. Like that would cause an uproar. That would be really bad.
That's because Steam has like this kind of armchair stock market thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But people can. I mean, it's. Again, it's one of those things we're never going to come to a determined, like, yes, this is it, because people in the clothing industry be like, I like these pants, I'll return them and wait until they're on sale or in clearance, and then I'll pick them up again. That has to happen, right? That has to happen everywhere.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know, though, actually. I don't know if I ever want to become the kind of person who returns pants and waits till they're on clearance to buy them again.
We'll go GameStop. I bought a game full price. I'm going to return it, and I'll always wait till I find a used copy.
I shouldn't say that as though there aren't people who are as passionate about pants as we are about video games.
Yeah,
I'm sure
they exist.
You're just gonna like buy the pants, try them out, take them back, and then wait.
Just sitting at the store waiting. They're gonna go on sale now. I'll just wait here.
It'll be really interesting. This is a big deal. Like Steam mods, it was less. I mean, it seems like there was more controversy over Steam mods because it was kind of like seen as anti-consumer, even though I don't necessarily agree with that. Paid mods, I should say, not Steam mods in general. Mm. But I really feel like this has the potential to be something that's really either awesome for consumers and not affecting developers of good games, or it could possibly affect developers of good games. I think it has more potentially dire consequences, and it could also be like a very happy medium as well. But Mathis is right that we need to see how it goes.
If there are developers that listen to this show that have numbers that you could show us, I'd be seriously really interested in seeing those. So please tweet those at Roundtable PC.
Get Minecraft and see what happens.
I want to know if it flies in the face of well-meaning early access games. So like in the sense that people have to kind of draw the line for themselves of where that return should happen. They kind of leverage the point of keeping that money in. Right? So, like, paying for a game before it's ready, they need to have that money for the point of continuing development on it.
Keep in mind, there's also the early access games that deliberately charge you an exorbitant amount to play the game in early access because they don't want you to get it if
your Planetary Annihilation for $80.
Yeah, exactly. They need you to have the expectation that this is early access and this is not the complete experience.
Prison Architect for too much and then on sale for 10 or whatever it was. Yeah, how does that all factor in? There's a lot of variables
Yeah,
here.
there are. Yeah, I didn't realize this was gonna open up the floor to a whole bunch of other factors at play with this Steam refund issue. But
The thing that scares me is that the internet can react at like the drop of a hat to perceived anti-consumer slights. So like you bring up a good case, a game being sold for way too much money in early access. You know, you can people will already review bomb it and do stuff like that. But could you like mass buy it and then mass refund it as like a protest or something like that? I would really hate to see stuff like that happening as a protest of stuff like that. But I might be in the minority about that. People might think that that's a valid way to get their point across, and maybe Valve agrees with that as well. But
tell us what you think about Steam refund policy, especially if you're a developer. Please tell me all about your stats.
Right, if you're a consumer, I'm assuming as a consumer we're all pretty for it.
Yeah.
I have no I have no expectation that I'm going to be issuing invalid refund requests, but if something is unplayable, that's awesome. Like that's the ideal case, and I'm sure most cases will be like that. I can't play this, I'd like my money back.
Mm-hmm. Next on the docket, I'm going to stop talking about LT and cocaine for a minute. That's a weird reference, man. No one's going to get that reference. That's a reference to Maximus Thor on YouTube. If anybody's seen that YouTube channel, let me know, because that's going to be a cool little connection we're going to make.
Especially if you're a developer.
Yeah, definitely. Super Meat Boy is coming to the PS4 and the PS Vita. Super Meat Boy was released in 2008, if I recall correctly.
Meat Boy was. Super Meat Boy was 2010.
Okay, so Super Meat Boy is about 5 years old now, finally coming to the PS4 and the Vita. The big story here is the fact that Tommy Refunds really hates African children and wants them to starve. That's the issue. Is that
go down this road, Bear.
He just throws food away like it's no big deal. He's just hucking meat like everybody's got food on their plate.
Hucking meat.
What a douchebag, this guy.
What a meat hugger.
They made if you have no idea what I'm talking about, they made a little trailer for the announcement of PS4 and Vita for Super Meat Boy, and Tommy's throwing meat at like a little Target thing, and it's dumb and hilarious, and everyone's getting all mad about it.
And controversial, apparently.
You know how much meat ends up in the toilet every day?
I know how much meat I put in the toilet every day, and it's a weird amount, so I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yo, Tommy's looking buff. He must be working out.
I know. I was going to say that. He's looking real good.
Yeah.
He's using that Meat Boy money to get to the gym, man. He's got to pay for that Gold's Gym membership. Those things are like $80 a month.
Well, that's why it's coming out on PS4 now.
Mm-hmm. They got to get more Gold's Gym money. They got to get more money to buy Gold's Gym memberships and sacks of meat to throw at targets. That's really what Team Meat is all about.
I can't be mad at Tommy for throwing meat because we don't know that he didn't eat that later.
Yeah, that's a
He might
valid
have
point.
picked it right up off on his lawn and had a grill or something.
Maybe that's how he cooks his meat. He throws it at a PS Vita, and then he throws it on the grill. That's a perfectly reasonable process. Yeah, there's not much to this story apart from saying
I'm a fan of
PS4
Super Meat
Vita.
Boy. It's kind of exciting that it's coming to new platforms. I know that they wanted to get on Sony stuff a long time ago, and seeing that they finally made that happen, it's pretty cool.
So once upon a time, two friends named Tommy Refunds and Edmund McMillan got together to make a game. They called that game Super Meat Boy.
Really?
They were forced to form a company by the man, and that company was given the name Team Meat. They did not pick this name. It was on some promotional information for a press event they attended, and being the savvy businessmen they are, they took a note from Warren G. Buffett and rolled with it. That's the story behind Team Meat, I guess.
When I was in London, actually, when I was boarding my flight to go back, there was a guy in front of me who was wearing a Berkshire Hathaway hat, which is like the company that Warren Buffett is the CEO of. I was like, come on, man. You're flying coach, dog?
That's an interesting choice of
why? Yeah, like
attire.
if you wear a hat for a sports team, I'm like, you think it's stylish or you support that sports team. What does it mean if you wear a hat of a company? Like if you wore a Microsoft hat, what the fuck does that mean? If you're not
you either work for Microsoft or there's just no justification for it otherwise. Those are the two
a Microsoft
options.
super fan? Go Xbox.
You could be
proud
if
that
you
they
were,
gave it to you.
If you were at like an expo, I could understand it. But the dude is wearing a Berkshire Hathaway hat, and it's he was like, people are gonna think I'm a billionaire.
People are going to think I'm Warren Buffett.
Yeah. Oh, excuse, are you Warren Buffett?
Flying coach?
I noticed you wearing that Berkshire Hathaway cat. I was going to say cat.
We're going to say cat.
I was noticed you wearing that cat from Berkshire Hathaway.
There's one more point to this story. It's also going to be free for PS Plus.
That's cool.
Right?
Nice.
I saw somebody actually complaining about that. It's like,
Oh
great,
my
another
God.
fucking shitty side-scrolling indie game free on PS Plus. Why can't they put some real games out for free that I don't have to pay for? Come
You
on.
don't know
Oh
what
my
it is,
God.
all right?
Come on.
That's amazing.
Oh, man. They were like 5 in 2010.
I have so much contempt for that commenter, whoever that was.
They're 10 years old now. They don't know what it is.
How, like, this is the best news that I cannot muster, like, any enthusiasm for.
Yeah.
It's like, cool.
Yeah.
Super Meat
It's
Boy's coming out.
surprising.
It is surprising, and I'm like,
Why is
will
it so
I play
surprising, though?
Because they've gone on record as saying they're never touching that game again, and they're moving on, and they're even working on Super Meat Boy Forever, which is like a side-scrolling runner-style game of it. So going back to it was pretty surprising to me.
I gotta
Man,
wonder
so-
if it's just like little bureaucratic nonsense that they've been combating for the past 3 years of trying to get it on the PS3 and the PS4 and the PS
I don't
Vita.
think so. I think they just
That
probably...
article you read, it was like, we saw some opportunities and we took them, right? I think is what it said.
Yeah.
I almost think, and this is conjecture and like armchair business guy, but that this is like them strengthening their relationship with Sony so that in the event of, you know, game 2, they'll have that relationship in place. And I have to imagine it's probably pretty easy within the context of making a brand new game to instead just port the game you've already made for 2 different platforms over. I'm not saying they could do it overnight, but it's probably pretty simple. And it's good press, you know? Release your game that everyone loves for free. Except for that dude. He's pretty pissed.
Yeah, I mean, he's angry.
I've heard Tommy say before that like he never wanted to look at that code again because it was so much patch upon patch upon patch of like just a mess that he didn't really want to get back into it. So that's, again, part of why I was so shocked to hear that they were going to do that. But maybe they subcontracted it out to someone.
You're talking about this guy, right? Pointing to Ryan. I'm not.
Oh,
pointing to
yeah.
Ryan.
Well, he's got all the info. He doesn't share it with us.
I gotta step up my macronutrient game if I'm gonna get on Tommy's level now. We're
Yeah,
not gonna
man.
get confused anymore.
He's looking swole.
He's been
good.
doing some work. I'm just saying.
Anyway,
All that meat.
Edmund looks really good in that video as well.
yeah.
Edmund always looks
he
really
really
good.
slimmed down.
He's on like just a head on a stick.
Yeah. I love the representation. Anyway, that's Super Meat Boy is coming to PS4 and Vita. How do you feel about that, Mathis?
Woo!
All right. Dark
Guys, you
Souls
ever played
3.
Super Meat Boy?
Do you even like
I have.
Super Meat Boy, Mathis?
I have played Super Meat Boy. How many hours I put in Super Meat Boy? Not many, probably.
Well, yeah, I
Time to
bet
get
you
a
put in
refund.
like
2 hours.
216 hours.
2
Oh,
hours. I think
2 hours.
really-
You can't do it.
Fuck.
Poor guy. Dark Souls 3 screenshots have been leaked. I'm reading an article from technobuffalo.com.
That's the one I linked you?
No, I don't think so. I think I just...
All right.
They got the top of the Google search, man. Apparently these guys are killing it. Anyway, I want to talk about Techno Buffalo more than I want to talk about Dark Souls 3. Screenshots have been leaked, apparently in the works. I think... what's his name?
Miyazaki.
I think he's back on this one, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
That's the rumor anyway. This is all rumors.
This is all rumors.
Well. Mitch Dyer from IGN on June 9th, which is today, writes, following previous rumors suggesting a still unannounced Dark Souls 3 would release in 2016, IGN has obtained a Dark Souls 3 promotional image for E3, narrowing the release window to early 2016. The unreleased
Okay.
official art below, it says official art, not in quotations, which leads me to believe that if you trust IGN, which I actually mostly do, in spite of the 6.5 out of 10 meme, for the most part, they maybe got this leaked from a source at the company or, at the publisher or something like that. The unreleased official art below depicts an armored hero covered in tattered cloth and flames, as well as the suggested launch frame of early 2016. Could be bunk, but this seems to point towards a little bit of a higher level of legitimacy.
And the
They
reason
had a lot of very
Miyazaki...
specific
Yeah, no,
stats.
Yeah.
If you've noticed, they had like a number of new enemies, a number of bosses, new areas. Like all that stuff was bulleted out.
100
So-
new weapons, 40 new pieces
Yeah.
of armor.
I don't think you just guess at that unless you're just straight up BSing.
I would.
Right.
Fucking yeah! If I was if I was the editor of technobuffalo.com, I would tell them fucking make it up.
69 new weapons, 69 new bosses.
Yo, how many guns are there?
There's at least 4 guns.
How many
Dark
cool and
Souls.
zany levels can I take my character through?
There was a gun in Bloodborne, man. You can't make the how many guns are there joke anymore. I thought there was a gun in Bloodborne, right?
No, that's a joke. Ryan gets it.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
use it very much, and people got angry at me about
I
it.
see.
Okay.
I didn't play it. I don't know. 60 minutes of in-engine cutscenes. I know that's the
That's what
stat
I'm
we're all
all
looking
about.
forward to. You were saying something about Miyazaki, though, Mathis.
Yeah.
I was saying the reason he wasn't part of Dark Souls 2 wasn't it because of I remember something. It was something to do with the company. It was like company things, but now he's like the CEO of the company, so he can just do what he fucking
CEO
wants.
From Software, or
Something like that. Let me take a look. I read something about it.
Is that after the release of Dark Souls 1, From split into like an A team and a B team, kind of?
Yes.
And the
B
A
team did
team,
Dark Souls 2.
yeah, the A team after Dark Souls mostly worked on Bloodborne, and the B team did Dark Souls 2.
I wish that they would change their name just so whenever we talk about them, our sentence structure doesn't sound completely botched.
That's why they did it the way they did it.
But
They're having a giggle, mate.
yeah, I'm having a little bit of a laugh. But yeah, Dark Souls 3, it's going to be a real thing, I guess. I'm
That's not
surprised.
surprising.
I'm surprised.
Not surprising.
that was really cute, actually. No, I am. I'm kind of. Well, I think it's mostly all of the issues surrounding Miyazaki is really more to the point of what makes this a surprising thing.
They get to circumvent the licensing problem and release multi-platform.
Yes.
That's true, too.
As
I'm sure
Nick and
that's
I-
a big thing.
Nick and I talked about this on Monday's NLSS, but I hope that Dark Souls 3 is basically like we're making a new Dark Souls mechanically game, a game that's mechanically like Dark Souls, like Bloodborne is. However, we can release it multi-platform now. And as we were saying, if they somehow botch this and don't come out with it on PC, pretty much concurrently with the launch of the console versions, you just have to facepalm and be like, and I'm not one, we talked about this in the console versus PC thing, I'm not one of those PC master race, so I don't want to be a console peasant. I'm playing The Witcher 3 on Xbox One right now, but it's so stupid. Just put it out on PC.
Dark Souls 3
loves these.
will launch on PS4 and Xbox One in 2016. A PC version is, quote, negotiable.
That's what I said.
But it sounds like something that
Negotiable.
Bandai Namco will definitely be doing based on the company's tendencies. Let's just talk to Bandai Namco directly for a second here.
Yeah.
Do they not print money?
Put it on the fucking
education.
PC, you idiots. Just do it.
Just do it.
Put it on the PC.
I want my 60 FPS. Give me a PC version.
Admittedly, I have not
Bloodborne at 30,
seen-
but
I have not seen sales figures for the console versions of the games versus PC. But those sales figures don't necessarily mean objectively as much as they could, considering the console versions always come out before the PC versions. So half the people, well, many of the people probably buy them on the consoles in advance and then don't want to pay twice for the same product. But I thought it was widely kind of considered or agreed upon that one of the reasons Dark Souls had kind of like that slow burn, long tail success was because of the PC release of the Prepare to Die edition, even though it sort of sucked until DS Fix came out 10 minutes later. Like, why? Why not?
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I'm not going too far down this rabbit hole, but I was very resentful to the whole have it on 360 for a month, then buy it on PC, and then have to buy it again for Scholar of the First Sin. Come on. Don't do it again. Just don't.
Just put it on the PC. Bandai Namco.
Just go straight in.
Just throw it on
Just
there.
go straight in. It'll get you so much more goodwill.
There are, right now, 1,900 people playing Dark Souls 2 on PC through
Wow.
Steam.
That's
Let me find Dark
startling.
Souls 1.
If
there's
it's any
at
more
least-
than like 100, I'm going to be really shocked.
Dark Souls 1 is 3,000.
What?
There are 5,000 people right now playing the Dark Souls games on Steam concurrently at this very moment. To give you a feel, I mean, that's obviously for the whole franchise. Something that's competing with right now, I'll find it here. Right now, there's 5,000 people playing Kerbal Space Program. 4,200 people playing Crusader Kings 2. 6,500 people playing Don't Starve Together. 7,000 people playing The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Like, these are all games that have been massively successful on PC. To not be like, yes, what you don't even have to ask. Of course we're making a PC version is amazing to me. Unless there's like a syndicate of Microsoft and Sony employees that are actually paying Bandai Namco absurd amounts of money to be like, please don't come out with this on PC.
Are they getting to the point of just paying them to say, we don't know if we're going to put it on
what if
a
it's
PC?
just the strategy,
Maybe.
like what they did with GTA 5, where it's like just plausible deniability. We won't say there's a PC version until we release it, so everyone just goes in straight away for the console.
Possible. If that's it, that's really shitty.
Do you think there's the possibility that PR has gotten to the point where they're kind of just like playing hard to get with the PC crowd and, you know, getting out there and saying like, well, you know, we might make it on PC if there's enough people that want to buy it, you know, you want to give us your money, you better
That's
let
what
us
it feels
know.
like.
It kind of does. It really does. But,
I'm sure I'm not sure it'll come out on PC. If it doesn't, there will be moments where I will be like, what is wrong with you?
Recording it'll be a real good time.
If you do this shit again with the console, then a month later PC thing, I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to say it so many times, you're going to be sick of hearing it from me.
I just won't buy it. I won't buy it until it comes out on PC.
Yeah.
I have to because I love the game so much. I can't wait. They know they're leveraging
Don't tell
that
them.
against. I
You
know.
said it out loud. Now the curse
not
is upon
supposed to.
you.
I'm just being honest though. I can't not.
You can't be honest with Bandai Namco, man. They'll shit down your throat. You know it's true.
Are you excited by the idea of a Dark Souls 3? Is anyone hitting like From Software fatigue yet?
I can give
Not at
you.
all.
I have a unique, I think, opinion of the Dark Souls franchise. I played through the entire first one with the help of two people, namely Kyle, Full-Grown Gaming, and Crazy Mike. They were kind of my Bedouin guides through the entire experience, and I think it was made a lot better for me that way because I was dying a lot, but at the same time I was learning based on the ability to have people to bounce ideas off of what I needed to do. And then I tried to play Dark Souls 2 by myself, and I got my shit kicked in. And I didn't really like Dark Souls 2. I think I enjoyed Dark Souls 1, and I didn't really have a great time with Dark Souls 2, and then I never really had an interest in playing Bloodborne. So with Dark Souls 3, it's not going to be for me, I don't think. I don't think I'm ever going to play it, but I definitely see why a lot of people enjoy it, which is an easy thing to say. It's very easy to say, you know what, I get the appeal to it. I'm in the know. I'm not an old grandpa that doesn't know what the hip thing is with the kids these days. But I genuinely do understand why people enjoy the Dark Souls franchise so much. So I think it'll be pretty well received still.
I'm really excited for it. I'd be curious to see what elements of Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne they put into 3. What lessons they've learned. I mean, I'm with Bear in that I loved Dark Souls 1. Probably took me about a year of trying to get into the Dark Souls franchise to finally get into it and really love it. I liked Dark Souls 2, but I think we've had this conversation. I don't want to have a billion times, but Dark Souls 2 is objectively worse than Dark Souls 1. It does not make it a bad game.
Yeah.
And then Bloodborne is different, way different enough. It's similar, but different enough from both of those to be its own thing. So I'll be curious to see what lessons they've learned and what they end up doing and implementing into Dark Souls 3, because you know they're going to come in with a twist or something that's going to make it more difficult or something you don't expect. So I'm looking forward to it.
No twist. I'd be totally happy if they just said, hey, you know Dark Souls 1? Here's more of that.
Don't make it so your HP goes permanently down.
That is my biggest complaint
sure.
of Dark Souls 2, yeah.
But what's interesting, and I'm not saying that either Bear or Mathis, you're wrong about this, because I'm experiencing the same thing with Bloodborne right now. Dark Souls 1, what I'm going to try to illustrate via this conversation is that I think a lot of how you feel about a particular Souls game is in the manner in which you played it. Like when I played Dark Souls 1, I used like no guides, nothing like that, discovered it all for myself, went through the learning process, the wounds scabbed over, and eventually I won. Dark Souls 2, we were lucky enough to have pretty much exactly the same thing, because Nick and I got like a week early access or something like that, and Josh as well. So we just kind of we discover things together and share it and be like, oh, this is amazing. And
it was so fun that way.
It is really fun to play it that way. And we were in a minority situation because we were completely sheltered from people that, like the general public, having the game at the same time and being like, oh, you're doing this wrong, blah, blah, blah. So we discovered how it worked for ourselves, which I don't think most people had that experience with Dark Souls 2. They sort of knew what they were getting into because of Dark Souls 1, basically, and they were part of the community, blah, blah, blah. But now with Bloodborne, I'm playing it the same way I think a lot of people played Dark Souls 2, and I'm kind of finding myself being like, I like it a lot, but it doesn't have the same magic for me. So I think with Dark Souls 3, if it ends up being amazing, what I'll probably do is just not record it, as Nick was talking about in Monday's show. Take the pressure off and just sit back and enjoy it. Don't read anything.
Will you stream
Streaming
it?
Bloodborne was
Probably
like a
not.
nightmare. It was just so much anger and frustration. Like a lot of it was myself just not understanding things about the game, but then being told it 100 times.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
I want to have that experience for myself, and I want to find my own way through it without being like chastised about it the whole time.
I liked doing. I did a Dark Souls series. I did a Dark Souls 2 series. Both of those were after I'd already beaten the game once off camera.
Yeah.
Beating it blind on camera is a great expression.
That is really a great sentence.
But seriously, like beating it blind on camera, it hasn't been miserable, and I'm my own worst enemy. Like I should be posting more of it, but it's not the same kind of magic because instead of me being worried about appreciating the game the first time through, I'm just like, oh, I've got to beat this, and like if I die on this boss 10 times, that's a huge problem. And
Out of curiosity, why didn't you beat Bloodborne first before doing a series on it?
it's a gold rush, man. If you start posting like episode 1 of Bloodborne 3 weeks after it comes out, nobody's gonna watch it.
Well, yeah, that's true. But what about Dark Souls 1? Did you have early access to Dark Souls 1 before you did the
No,
series?
but that was a once-in-a-lifetime situation where Dark Souls 1, not to be a hipster or anything, but was like underappreciated when
no
it
one
first
knew
came
about
out.
it at first.
Okay, gotcha.
Demon
Yeah,
Souls
makes
was
sense.
popular, but not like insanely so. And Dark Souls sort of had this like cult phenomenon thing that grew. Like when it was a console exclusive, it was popular, but people were still kind of like intimidated by it. I think it really hit like a zeitgeist when it came out on PC.
Yeah.
And that's carried it to the point where it is like one of the biggest franchises in the world now.
Yeah, all
It
right,
was
that makes sense.
really, really interesting watching that transformation because when it came out, there was maybe 4 or 5 months where it was just trickling little by little into the media, and people were going, wait a minute, you should check this out. And then all of a sudden the articles started popping up, and then it kind of caught fire.
Yeah.
A lot of the way I think Isaac did.
I think that's
Maybe
true.
not to the same degree, but it definitely did.
When
to
you got-
illustrate the differences, there's a lot of reasons why this was the case, but I started my Let's Play of it in like December of 2011. It was like 4 months after it came out, and I was still one of the first Let's Plays of the game on YouTube for Dark Souls 1.
Wow.
And there were a lot less people doing YouTube stuff back then, but it also illustrates that was not like it wasn't a huge cultural phenomenon or anything when it first came out.
When you got Dark Souls 2 early, was there an embargo before you could show anything?
Yeah,
Okay,
which I think helped.
We had about 5 days to play.
gotcha. I was gonna, what if you got Dark Souls 3 a week early, but there was no embargo? Would you do
I
a
would-
series? hate that?
I'd be my own. That's the thing is like,
Because then you can't have anybody telling you what to do because nobody knows.
right, but I hate
Oh, like that's gonna stop them. Come on.
Yeah,
I hate mentioning
true.
that it's like the reason you come out with those videos early is because it has like the highest visibility. Basically, that's when people
Right.
care about it. But that's why I'm saying like I need to go like cold turkey on Dark Souls 3. If it's great, again, this is operating under the assumption that it's going to be good. If we get access a week early and I can play it through once and be comfortable with it, I would totally do a series on day one of the game coming out.
That
And I
makes
think
sense.
that's like a happy medium for
Yeah.
me. If I don't get early access to it, and this is not me holding the company ransom at all, but it'll be a much more awesome experience for me if I just either do a series 6 weeks later after I've beaten the game or don't do a series at all and just enjoy it myself. And, you know, I've learned that lesson with Bloodborne, but part of the shit with Bloodborne is also that it's annoying to record it on PS4. So there's a two-headed dragon.
PC.
I just kind of thank my lucky stars sometimes that I'm not someone like, I don't know, like the Rad Brad, I guess, who plays all the AAA releases. Like that's what's expected of you.
Yeah.
When you get to that size, like you're going to be the one that plays the big games, and you know that just kind of soils the experience for me. I think of the games that are really overhyped, like Fallout 4, for example, something that I would probably fall into that
see what you did.
category. Yeah, segues. Fallout 4 has been announced, upcoming by Bethesda, of course.
No way.
Yeah, I know, it's startling.
Yeah,
thought?
but dude,
Some people don't know.
the graphics though.
Oh, they look so bad. Oh, God, they're so bad. Did you see the trailer? They're not like real life.
It's like it's like cell shaded or something.
Oh, it's stupid. I hate it.
They're
Fallout 4 is
gonna
gonna be dumb.
shitty indie games.
I can't wait for Fallout 4.
Settings confirmed for Boston though, so that's gotta get you a little
I'm
bit
psyched
hyped up.
about
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I'm very excited
shows
about
the
that.
statue of Paul Revere and everything. It's gonna be awesome.
excited.
Apparently, it's gonna be. Oh no, there is no guaranteed release date. People are saying 2016, but that's just pure speculation. The trailer has been released. That's about all we've seen. We're expecting to get a little bit more info about it from E3, but I'm pretty hyped about this. Fallout 4 is something that people have been clamoring for. The whole Fallout series, I don't think anyone's really played anything before Fallout 3. First of all, you did?
Yeah, Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. Fallout 2 was
them
punishingly hard.
What about Tactics?
Did not play Tactics.
Suck it, Mathis. No.
You guys hyped? You guys hyped about Fallout 4?
Super hyped.
Yeah.
Well, I like Fallout 3 was what won me over as far as like the rivalry between Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Even though it's the same company, but comparing them, I'm a much bigger Fallout fan than I am of an Elder Scrolls series. I like that world a lot better. There's a lot more silent stories that happen in Fallout than happen in Elder Scrolls, which I don't know if we talked about this on the show before, but being able to just walk into a house and just see, like, you know, skeletons in weird positions and be like, this is kind of telling a story of what they were doing the final days. I love that about the game.
That's the difference between cut and pasting just, you know, random decor to throw around the world and somebody, you know, very deliberately looking at this little homestead and saying, like, okay, so this is what happened to this family during the Fallout.
Witcher 3 is very similar in that regard.
I was just going to say
what we were talking about. That's actually, I think, what I was remembering. So I love Fallout, and I'm probably going to end up playing through Fallout New Vegas again because I'm so excited.
I love that as soon as that Fallout 4 trailer came out, I think, like, you know, a grand majority of the people I follow on Twitch all of a sudden were like, I'm going to play through Fallout 3 again. This is the opportunity. It's working, so let them do it.
Yeah.
As someone who has actually never played a Fallout game, except for like 45 minutes of New Vegas, it has me wanting to, like, I want this to be like my jumping in point for the series. It's a convenient opportunity, so I'm thinking I'm motivated right now to play through either New Vegas or Fallout 3. And people keep telling me, don't play X, play Y. Don't play Y, play X.
I just did it.
Like,
play 3.
Play 3.
I'm in the New Vegas camp. I say play New Vegas.
Fuck you, man.
I don't like New Vegas as much.
I don't think the story the main story is as good as in New Vegas, but I think the world is more interesting in New Vegas. So it's more fun to wander and
he's
explore.
wrong. Just play 3.
Play 3.
They're both fantastic, is the thing.
And the DLC is actually worth doing in 3 as well. I don't
Fallout
think it is
3.
Some of them in New Vegas.
I played that on the 360. Fallout 3 was the only game where I was playing through the game every single time new DLC came out. I bought it day one.
Bought it instantly.
Like
the loading screens in 3.
Oh man!
Every time you entered a building. Oh man! Because I played on 360 like you did. Oh, I loved that game.
Those are the days, man. I would come home and I would be so pumped for that new Fallout 3 DLC, man. I was the consumer. I was the little sheep that followed him around.
I was working at GameStop going to college, and every day was like, I can't wait to get home so I can play more Fallout. I can't wait to see what new discoveries I'll make. I only have 3 hours before I have to go to bed. How much can I get done?
There was DLC for Fallout 3 where you got abducted by a mothership, man.
I know.
You were in an alien spaceship.
Friends with a samurai.
Yeah. There was like the Alaska one too, whatever that was. What was that called? Shoot. Oh man, I'm getting all nostalgic now about
Anchorage?
4 years ago.
Operation Anchorage?
Operation Anchorage, yeah, that was what it was.
Jeez.
Good
And
time.
this is why I need to get into Fallout 4, because I've been in the industry since New Vegas came out, roughly. And I've been hearing all these stories. I can't be the guy. It's the same reason I got to beat The Witcher 3. For work, I have to beat The Witcher 3 even if I do no content on it. Otherwise, 2 years from now, I'm going to be talking to somebody, and they're like, hey, remember that part in The Witcher 3? That was like a pivotal moment. I'll be like, I don't know what.
And then they're going to be looking at you like, do you know?
Wait.
Do you know you're out? We'll kick you out, man.
Are you
And
an
there's a ton
imposter?
of mods that make the game look a lot less old. Even though I still don't think the game looks terrible.
What's wrong with looking old, man?
Shut the fuck up about the graphics in the trailer. I just watched it. If you're going
Talking about Fallout 3.
Too bad. If you're going to complain about the graphics in the Fallout 4 trailer, you have to, I was going to say wear like a card, but that's probably not what I'm trying to be emblematic of. You have to sign something that says, I'm going to be the guy who complains about bad graphics and promotional stuff. And then in the other camp, you can have the people who complain about graphics being too good in promotional stuff and then it being bad when it comes out. You can't be both. You can't be the guy who says, hey, Bethesda, your game looks like shit and I'm not going to buy it or I'm not going to be excited for it because it looks like shit in the trailer. And then also be the guy who's like, Ubisoft, you made your game look too good, so I'm not going to play it when it comes out because you can be critical, but you have to be consistent.
I can be that. You can't tell me I can't be both.
That's right. I literally
perfect.
cannot stop anybody from doing that. But whenever I see, there was that huge thing over the past like 16 months. People were like, this game was willfully misrepresented in its marketing material. And then Fallout 4 looks like it's maybe using in-game stuff for the trailer. And people are like, it doesn't look as good as it could. I'm like, wow.
No, I'm with you. That makes a lot of sense to say that.
Statement. It could look better, but it
I'm not
doesn't.
that
And
impressed,
I'm
by the way.
mad.
No, now we're conditioned to expect to be lied to in media, so now we wait for that moment so we can then be let down again. Why don't we just skip that and get right to the, hey, the game looks like that, let's be happy.
Yes.
Cool, but mod Fallout 3. There's a lot of cool mods for Fallout 3.
Well, in 2009, Grandpa.
I know, right?
It's older than Game Boy.
You guys remember Fallout Tactics? Those were the days.
I'm interested to see what the story's going to be like, because they are doing... The trailer was a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
And kind of just like, this was happening then, now this is what it looks like after the bombing.
If they kill that fucking dog...
Oh, he's dead.
No.
No, the dog's probably not dead.
No,
The
he's
dog
going to
usually
die.
doesn't die.
Well...
I'm trying to
like
think of
in
a
Call of
game where
Duty.
the dog died, actually.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty?
It did?
Collar Duty, I should say.
Collar
Collar
Duty?
Duty.
Yeah.
Like a dog.
Marley
Wear
and me.
colors.
Hey.
Don't talk about Marley and me, man.
You didn't play Marley and me
Such
for
a
the
down-
Nintendo DS?
Did they make you relive it
Did
in a
Beethoven
handheld
ever
experience?
Play both, Ryan. Play both Fallout 3 and...
I'm not. There's no time. Like
I feel like we've got a year.
There's
It's
no time
not-
for either one, to be
It's
honest.
not that you're wrong. It's just there's no time.
You've
That's,
got-
that's like when people are like, "Hey, you should read Game of Thrones." I'm like, "There's a lot of things I should do. You know, I should eat right. I should exercise more. I should learn a language. We got a limited time in this mortal coil."
I shouldn't
Yeah,
smack
true.
cops in the face when they ask me how fast I was going. You know, like, oh man, I've got all these things I gotta do.
Let's tackle one Fallout game, and then if I love it, maybe I'll play the other one.
You don't need to play New Vegas.
Yep.
Just play Fallout 3.
It really should be 3.
Maybe I'll play fucking Fallout 1. I'm gonna start from the beginning.
You know what? You might be better off with that, because then you can be all pretentious about the knowledge you have of the series
Oh,
from
yeah.
the origin.
Let me know
And
when
I'll
you find the
be really
Doctor Who
impressed with
reference in
graphics.
Fallout 1, though.
Ooh, that's dated.
He hates Doctor Who anyway.
I love Doctor
He goes,
Who.
Doctor Who gives a shit. I love Doctor Who as well.
Well, I mean, who can you blame for when someone says Doctor Who gives a shit? It's like lobbed.
I
over
can
the
blame
plate.
Ryan for that.
I'm
Because
never the guy who brings up Doctor Who to admonish it. I am gonna be around when Doctor Who is brought up a lot, and it has conditioned that response.
Mm-hmm.
People always, it's like vector marketing or something like that. They're always trying to talk to you about Doctor Who. I'm like, is Doctor Who not something where there's a community online of like-minded individuals whom you can discuss enthusiastic passion?
It's
Is
like
there
the
an-
people who are trying to inflate the results on Google Feud for I love Doctor Who.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just gotta, get confirmation bias that way.
Ryan, if Telltale Games comes out with a fantastic Doctor Who game, would that be your jumping in point for that?
I think I'm done with Telltale for now.
Damn it.
I need to
That was my last chance.
I need to detox from Telltale for a while. Not that they're bad.
All right, fair enough.
All right, speaking of The Witcher 3 a little bit, about 5 minutes ago,
Yeah.
The Witcher 3 sold over 4 million copies in the first
According
2
to Square
weeks.
Enix, that's
Quite
a
a few.
failure.
How many of them have been refunded on Steam, though?
That's what we gotta know. Yeah. I wonder if they include that.
If you have under 2 hours played in The Witcher 3 and you want a refund, that's fine. Because, fuck, there's like 200 hours of content.
If you refunded
You got
The
through
Witcher
the tutorial,
3,
maybe.
you are the malice embodied. That you are the problem. Witcher 3 has sold over 4 million copies, and okay. First of all, fuck horse racing in The Witcher 3.
Haven't
it
gone through it
sucks. It's so bad. That's the only problem I have with it. Otherwise, I love it so much, and it's the greatest thing I've ever played in my life. But it's it's got all the goods, man. Like we talked about it extensively on the I think it was just on the previous podcast actually, but 4 million sales is pretty goddamn impressive.
Yeah, not all of them are going to be at $70 because of like regionalized pricing. But even if you average it at like 50,
Yeah,
that's fucking
it's a lot of money.
that's $200 million.
So let's see. How far have you guys gotten in The Witcher 3 now? First of all,
I'm still in the zone right after White Orchard. I am up to the Bloody Baron quest, but I haven't done it yet. I am kind of doing side questing. I just did the werewolf side quest.
I think you and I are about the same level. I'm about 11 hours in. Would you say that's pretty close?
I'm like 8 or 9, yeah.
Okay.
Witcher
I've-
3.
I've finished
10, I'm
the-
10, so yeah.
I finished the Bloody Baron quest,
So you're ahead of me. Yep.
but I don't think I've played as much. I think I'm a little bit behind on side questy stuff.
I just... Yeah, what
Sorry.
about you? Go ahead.
Just
no, please,
the
go
way
ahead.
that I play Isaac, I'm playing The Witcher 3 as well, where I just do every side quest and don't ever advance the plot. So
That's exactly what I was going to say. As soon as I
I
got
have
my
nothing to
next
contribute.
Wait, the
As
way
soon
you
as I
play
got my
Isaac.
next main plot point, I just
clear every
ignored it.
room.
Oh, okay. I see.
That's
Yeah.
smart, though. I think that's a good way to play Isaac.
Terrible way to play.
I just...
I really tell you.
It's inefficient, man.
It's inefficient.
If you're going to play The Witcher 3, you got to play it in the most efficient way possible. You
Yep.
can't be doing side quests and stuff, man.
No,
You
I
gotta
used to
get
get really worried about that. I'd be like, am I playing this game right? And as I've gotten older and time has become a little bit more limited, I'm like, I'm just going to play it however I want to play it.
What a rebel.
He'll be like, oh, you really missed out on the side quests. I'm like, I don't care.
The thing about RPGs is this. I keep thinking it's not going to happen this way, and I keep doing it, and then it happens. Is I play through the main quest thinking to myself, I'm just going to finish the main quest, and then I'll go finish all these other side objectives after I'm done with the main
Yeah,
quest.
you don't do that.
You won't do it.
Never happens. I always just like, it's shelved. Once the main quest is done, it's over.
Except in Fallout 3. That's the one time I did do it.
That actually is true. Yeah.
Because the main story isn't that great in Fallout.
Or that long, to be honest. The majority of the whole thing is made up of the little tiny stories.
The
you
main
kinda discover.
storyline can only takes like 8 hours or something.
In New Vegas, you can beat it in like 3.
Yeah, you can.
You can speedrun Fallout New Vegas in 26 minutes.
Yep.
It's true.
Well, because they brought
Someone
in like
can.
you can.
Actually, not that hard. I don't think.
Nah.
because you can cut a lot of the main story out. It was very similar in Fallout 1 or 2. If you went directly where you needed to go and skipped all the like connecting quests, it would just
Right.
play as though you did all that.
Witcher 3
Good
is
game.
really good. Just
Want to
buy
hear
it.
our thoughts on it? Watch 2 weeks ago. This podcast.
No kidding.
There's
but
nothing-
Spent, like hour.
That's a really feel-good story. They worked really hard on the game. The game is really good, and it sold a lot of copies.
Had half the budget of like every other major AAA published game, and
Not all the news has to be controversial and shitty. Sometimes we just want to acknowledge a great developer for doing a good job. So great job, CD Projekt Red. Sorry.
And they hate DRM.
Although I will say, just to add a little bit of an element of piquantness to the discussion, I do hate seeing headlines on Reddit that are like, "See what happens when you treat your consumers with respect." I'm like, man, it's like a lot of developers that treat their consumers with respect, and you know, it's not like it's everybody. And then CD Projekt Red is like, we're gonna take up the flag of being pro-consumer. There's like a lot of developers that do that, and not all of them make $200 million. So I don't know. It's a little bit
enough.
self-serving, I find, with that.
I think people are getting a little bit of second coming of Christ about it too. This experience saved my marriage playing The Witcher 3, which it might have actually.
It's good, but I would say it's highly overrated. It actually sucks. It's it's not good.
Controlling the horses in general, I'm sorry, I just have to get mad about it for a second. It's bad. It's really bad. They did bad about horses. That's a book I'm writing. They did bad about horses by
About
Bear
horses.
Taffy.
I
need to
believe
go
the
back-
controls are clunky in general, not just
Yeah.
the horses.
Yeah.
But
I need to go
that's
back
okay.
and play Red Dead Redemption to see if it's just like rose-colored glasses, because like I feel like horses suck in every game.
I kind of remember playing Red Dead Redemption and being impressed by the horse
like,
movement.
so
Now that
cool.
I think about
But
it.
I think that was also like the first time outside of a Zelda game where I've been like, I can use a lot of horses,
Yeah.
or like the fucking jockey manager, or whatever the Japanese publisher that I can't remember keeps coming out with.
You know what is a good comparison? Dynasty Warriors 2 has better horse controls than The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Yeah, but is it
that's a
realistic?
fact. It doesn't matter. I don't want a realistic horse. If I wanted a realistic horse, I'd go become a jockey. And I played Jockey Simulator on my ass. But it's
Dragon
bad.
Age Inquisition had terrible horse controls as well. I like the game a lot, and it did shoehorn in like a checkpoint horse racing thing, and I'm like, you don't. Why?
You know, the thing was, I'm at the point right now where I still want to complete every quest I have in my journal. So I had to do all 3 horse races. I played through the first one, and it was like I was like, oh my god, this fucking sucks. And then I booted up the second race, and I had the exact same experience, but I couldn't stop myself. It's an
You know
addiction.
what's cool about The Witcher is that at least so far it doesn't fall into the trap that Dragon Age Inquisition and so many other RPGs fall into. Maybe it does later. But in Dragon Age Inquisition, you literally are the only person in the world who can stave off the apocalypse. You have like a special mark on your arm, and you use it to close rifts that allow demons to pour into the world. And then you go to a farm, and the guy's like, all right, only potential savior of the entire universe that I've ever known and will ever know. I'll lend you my horse. Lend you my horse. But first, you gotta prove to me that you know how to use it by going through like this checkpoint race. And I'm like, this is where I wanted some Fallout style shit, where it's like just a dialogue tree or an action tree where you could just like sunder him limb from limb and steal his horse. And The Witcher, you're on, at least to start with, you're on kind of like a more personal motivated quest that has, you know, it has consequences for the world, but it's not like, oh, there's a big demon and he's gonna blow up the earth, you know. So
sometimes while I'm playing through The Witcher 3, I get to thinking that Geralt is just really pissed off about the way that I choose to progress through things, because not only am I spending half of my time playing Gwent with random strangers that I come across, but also I decide to take like the polite approach. There'll be a lady on the roadside who's upset about the fact that some statue was desecrated, and she'll stop me on horseback, and I'll be like, I shouldn't really be doing this. I kind of need to go, you know, like, do important shit. And she goes, oh, come on, you can do it. It's on the way. Here, God will provide you the instructions to restore these sacred altars to their rightful state. And I can't be rude to her because she's a poor old peasant woman, and I can't bring myself to say I'm a fucking witcher. I probably have more important stuff to do. Now, excuse me while I go play Gwent with the bartender.
Let's bring this other lady a frying pan.
I really want.
Yeah, he really does, actually. I'm getting so addicted to Gwent, man. It's real bad.
It's really good.
It is.
Good, yeah,
it's a great
really
game.
Fun. Give me tabletop simulator. Someone create Gwent in that.
I am seriously so shocked that there's not a browser-based Gwent yet. I thought that was going to be like within the first week.
If CD Projekt Red came out with like an iPad companion app for like $3, I'd buy that.
Yeah. I hear tell they're making a hard physical version of Gwent.
Oh, that's so fucking cool, but also super dorky. It's like, yo, do you want to come over to my house and play Gwent, the card game originated the smash hit RPG, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt?
Hard physical editions. I don't know why I have to keep saying hard. This is like the real hard dick. Real hard dick. Anyway, Gwent's going to be around at PAX, and we're totally going to play it. It's going to happen.
Sorry, honey, I don't have time to fuck you tonight. The boys are coming over for some hardcore Gwent.
That's a really misogynistic approach to a marriage, man. Sorry, babe, can't bone you tonight. Gotta play some Gwent.
I understand.
All right.
Gwent is very important.
That's Witcher 3, 4 million copies. They're doing great. Good for them. Hearts of Iron 4, I want you guys to talk about this. So tell everybody about where you've been. Mathis.
England. We were in Windsor. We were there for 2 days where we played 2 big sessions of Hearts of Iron 4, which is, if you don't know, a grand strategy by Paradox taking place between 1936 and 1946, covering World War II. You can play as any of the countries that are involved in some way, and it's your duty to win the war. It's a very interesting experience when there are 22 players playing at the same time. It's fun.
How does that work? How does that work? 22 people playing at the same time. I want you to keep talking while you got food in your mouth. I'm punishing you.
That's fine. So, for instance, we all picked a country. We got assigned countries to the first game. I got assigned Finland. Ryan got assigned... Who did you get assigned, Ryan?
I was Canada in the first game.
Oh, yeah, right. You were Canada. Quill was France, and Arumba was Japan. And then we had a bunch of other people playing Germany, and one of the developers was playing the USA. And it's interesting because when it starts, there's a mechanic in the game called world tension. Whenever something happens, say the Axis does something like Germany liberates or takes over Luxembourg, world tension will rise. And certain countries cannot get involved in the war or whatever war is going on until world tension meets a certain number. It's a number between 0 and 100. USA, for example, cannot get involved in the world war until world tension hits 100, period. Other things like Finland, for me, I couldn't join the Axis unless one of 2 conditions was met. World tension was at 80%, or I had enough support for a fascist regime within Finland that I could overthrow my government, become fascist, and then join the Axis that way. And it was funny because since a lot of us didn't know what we were doing, the World War, both times we played, kicked off like 2 or 3 years earlier than it was supposed to. USA came in, and because Germany wasn't really ready for it, the US just kind of walked in with hundreds of thousands of men and just destroyed all of the Axis very quickly.
More so than like any other Paradox game, or more so at least than CK2 and EU4. It's not really as much of a historical sandbox. There really is basically the Axis, the Allies, and then a neutral camp. And it doesn't seem like it veers off, at least when you're playing the AI, it doesn't get too ahistorical. It becomes kind of like a plausible alternate history, basically, where whoever's playing Germany in particular kind of dictates how scary the world gets via world tension, and they try to get as big as they can, basically, and build up for war before world tension reaches a point where the powerful allies like the United States and France and the United Kingdom can declare war on them. So it really does feel a little bit more like a
Board game.
like a board game for sure, like a directed experience in a way. But there's room to like maneuver. Like in the first game that we had, Canada did historically contribute a lot to the Allied effort in the Second World War, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So it took me a long time to actually like get ready for war, and then I invaded Brazil, which had allied with the Axis. So we had like a Canadian invasion of Brazil, which was really weird. And we had like in our last game, basically because we were just trying to see the limits of the absurdity of the game, we had like a German, Soviet, American alliance, which would probably never happen with the AI. So you can get into some weird stuff like that.
When you did that, though, it was, like the game was over. Like when Germany and the U.S. ally, it's over. The game is done. There's nothing you can do because the United States is the most powerful country in that game from start to fucking finish.
Oh, that's a little bit of a...
Right now it is. It needs balancing. It straight up is. It's something that we were talking to developers too. The U.S. is too powerful right now. They're incredibly powerful.
No such thing as the U.S. being too powerful.
The thing that's going to be interesting is like you said about the balancing. It's a game that is definitely... It's very, very historical. So in EU4, you can kind of start as like a really poor small nation and kind of snowball out of control because it's almost got the Civ thing where you're not really just painting the map with your color, but you sort of are just painting the map with your color. It's not
It's
not
like
quite the same.
Splatoon, basically, right?
Yeah, you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a Regency Council. But in Hearts of Iron 4, you can't do that. Like, it is, to the best of my knowledge, inconceivable to play like Peru and take over all of South America. Like, the game is not really about that. It's almost more of like a chess match where
the game
it's not...
punishes you for doing that, really.
It does, yeah. Sometimes you're literally just barred from doing it. Like, you know, in CK2, people who have never played CK2 before are like, how do I declare war? Oh, you need to, like, fabricate a claim. Hearts of Iron 4 is, like, even stricter for that. It's like, you actually can have a claim, but you can't declare war because world tension isn't at blah, blah, blah. Because historically, Canada is not just going to be like, hey, you know, Japan, go fuck yourself. Like, I'm going to take you over right now. So it really does keep you within the bounds of history. And Mathis is right that it has a board game feel where it's almost divided into two phases, like building up for war, and then there's the war, and however the war resolves, you know, either the Axis or the Allies win, or the Comintern wins, I guess. But
I mean, depending if you're playing Axis or Allies, you're almost playing two different games.
You are, yeah.
You're trying as the Allies to get at world tension to rise quickly, because the quicker you can get the U.S. involved, the easier it is for you to win. Game 2, I played as the U.S. I barely knew what I was doing, and they got world tension to hit 100 by like 1937. And I walked in with all of my army and barely really having known what I was doing, and I just kind of walked through Germany and just destroyed them. And there was nothing they could do about it. And then I walked it through Germany, bordered Russia. Russia then started a war with us, so I was now fighting a Germany front war, a Russian front war, was winning both of them, and was preparing with you to move into Hungary and then take over Hungary with my spare troops that I had sitting around. There's balancing issues too where if you can have troops trained, and as long as you occupy a territory, you can immediately deploy your army in that territory. So if I just had a territory in Germany occupied, I can just immediately deploy like 8,000 men in the middle of Germany. They just spawn out of nowhere.
that is, they said that was a bug.
It's going to be fixed.
Or an
Yeah.
oversight.
I'm talking about for that particular playthrough though. It was very, very powerful.
Basically, I'm pretty sure the reason Mathis and I were there is to see if this is going to be like
Newbie friendly.
for new players, and it is in a way.
We had the advantage of sitting next to people who knew what the fuck they were doing and explaining.
Not
it.
everyone's going to get to sit next to a Roomba when they play.
Yeah.
Probably.
So my question is, as a person who tried to play CK2 and was completely overwhelmed and decided I didn't want to dedicate the time and effort to learning it, is this a game that I could maybe pick up in its place?
They need an amazing tutorial to explain a lot of the intricacies of the game. For instance, which I didn't know, and Roomba was thank God he was right next to me, was in order to move my men from the U.S. to Germany via boat was a 4-step process.
Wow.
To just get them on the boat and set up a naval invasion and get them where I wanted to go. And halfway through, it was probably a bug. They turned around and went back home for no reason. So I needed to be like, okay, I got to do that again. Go through the process of setting up a naval invasion.
I feel like they should have, you know, like they're part of the United States military. They've got some sort of naval training, right? They don't need to be lemmings escorted onto a boat and sent across the ocean.
It's a side effect, though, of having a game where you can put them on a boat and then have them come back if you want to. And there's actually strategic reasons you might want to do that in some circumstances, I think. I think it is, like Matt has said, harder to do the things you need to do in Hearts of Iron 4 than it is in CK2 or EU4. However, it's also a time period that is a lot more interesting to a lot of people. Like, I feel like a lot of people, if they play Crusader Kings 2 and they start in 867, they're like, I know nothing about, I have no attachment to the Carolingian Empire or something like that. Whereas Hearts of Iron 4 is kind of, it deals with events that are in living memory, and I think that'll motivate more people to kind of stick it out. It needs a ton of tutorialization. Like, after, I played like 12 hours before we went, and then we played 15, something like that, at the event. So after 27 hours, I was finally like, I get this. Like, I know how to play this now. Yeah.
It's interesting because CK2 and EU4 are focused on the grand, like, how am I going to take over the next country and stuff, while Hearts of Iron is more on the micro. You're worrying about factories and weapon production and training your troops and making sure they're well equipped in the field of battle, as opposed to, like Ryan was saying, worrying about how am I going to take over all of Ireland in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah. It is not like EU4 set in the 1930s.
Right.
Like, you can't, or Civ set in the 1930s for that matter. It's not like I'm going to play as this country and do like the best I can, or like I'm going to achieve a cultural victory. There is no cultural victory. This is all about like the Second World War. And when that's over, like, well, to start with, you prepare for what is inevitably going to be the Second World War, and then the war happens, and when it ends, and that's pretty much the end of the game.
Nice.
It's cool though. After we left, I find myself motivated to play a lot more, and I really want to get better at it. I feel motivated to get better at it because personal knowledge is a huge factor in whether or not you're going to be able to succeed.
Right.
I think this game is also going to benefit more from multiplayer sessions and single-player sessions.
Yeah.
It really felt like, even with good AI, I still feel like this is a game where you want to have, two teams, Axis versus Allies, and have like a 3v3, 4v4 kind of just party, LAN party, or internet party, whatever you want to call it, and just have a competitive few hours with your friends or a competitive match with your friends. I think the game is going to benefit more from that than, say, EU4 and CK2, where you could easily do both and have fun with both.
As a concept, that does sound awesome to me, the idea of, becoming a war general for one of the Axis or Allied powers in World War II and just being able to, command troops through that.
Even it's mechanically less accessible than CK2 or EU4, but like I said, because of the time period, it might be more accessible from an interest perspective for a lot of people. And as Mathis is talking about, a CK2 or EU4 game can go on for anywhere from like 20 to 400 hours. And a Hearts of Iron 4 game, the way we played it at least, we were able to finish one game under logical circumstances in like 6 hours. And then we had a few zany games that probably should have lasted longer than they actually did, but they got called due to them, like the writing being on the wall. So it is the kind of thing where you could get people together for like a 5-hour session or like 2-3 hour sessions and conceivably play a full game, which is nice. That makes it way more accessible because it's intimidating. It's nice, but it's also intimidating in EU4 that the game takes place over like 380 years.
Paradox games just in general are way more intimidating than anything I've ever tried to play.
They've gotten a lot better. Like Hearts of Iron 4 mechanically is tough, but EU4 is it's harder to learn than the basics of Civ, but once you get probably like 10 or 15 hours in, you're having fun while you learn it, which is, I think, the big thing. Instead of just being like, how do I declare war? Oh, well, you have to fabricate a claim on their land. How do I do that? Well, like, you got to click on their country, click on diplomacy, fabricate claim, and then you got to wait for a long time. I took them over. Why can't I take them over? Oh, you need more monarch points to be able to actually annex their territory. Like, there's a lot of moving parts in it.
Yeah. Hearts of Iron 4 release date at all, or are they just
I think
saying...
Johan said it's pushed to 2016 right now.
Okay.
Not in 2015. And what we played was an alpha, but supposedly pretty close to beta build.
Nice. There it is. Next on our docket is Duck Game, which is completely different from Hearts of Iron 4. Almost a polar opposite.
There are guns in both.
Yeah? Are
There
there
are
ducks in
hats.
Hearts of Iron 4?
There are hats in both. There are no... There's no visible ducks.
Are there hamburger masks in Hearts of Iron 4? Is there a duck news broadcaster? Because that's what it's lacking.
He
I
implied
think.
there's invisible ducks or implied ducks.
Well, I'm assuming that the ducks are modeled but not displayed.
Okay. They lack
Duck
textures.
game.
Exactly.
Developed by, it just says developed by Landon Podbielski.
Yes.
Podbielski.
You know he's from Vancouver.
That sounds like a Russian name.
Isn't everyone these days? Quite the
This
city
might
you
be
got
Russian
going.
Vancouverian. I don't know.
Published by Adult Swim Games, this shooter about ducks. It's ducks shooting at each other. It's so much fun. It's actually a really, really fun multiplayer experience that is surprising. Also, it has 99% positive reviews on Steam right now, which is pretty
very
outstanding.
high.
Yeah. What are you guys thinking of duck game so far?
I'm thinking I probably should play it at some point.
You should probably
Oh, it's
play
just
duck
Bear
game.
and I. Okay.
Is it just me and you? I thought
I
Nick
guess
played it
it's just me
too.
and you.
Yeah, no, I tried to play it and I was dumb and I didn't toggle my Steam status to online, so I wasn't able to.
Oh no! All right, right.
I
What do you
learned my
think of
lesson.
Duck game so far.
So the basic description of Duck Game is that it's a, you can say 1 to 4 player, but it's basically a 2 to 4 player multiplayer, can be online or local shooter in like super fast rounds. So it's 1 shot, 1 kill basically. If you get hit, you die, and whoever wins 10 rounds wins the game.
Mm-hmm.
Variety of zany weapons. The weapons all interact with physics. So if you have like a bomb or a grenade, let's say, and you throw it onto a spring, it'll bounce off that spring. It might land on another spring, and it's zany. It's funny. It's meant to be kind of unpredictable, and it's really just like a lot of fun. It's light in tone. And, it's
Really fast paced, and the online multiplayer works really well, which is a big
yeah.
selling point too. There's a lot of weapons. There's a good weapon variety, tons of levels to play on too. The levels don't make a ton of difference, but it is kind of cool to play on. There's some unique levels that are very, very tight spaces that you have to. You see the countdown going once you see what level you're on. You kind of panic. You're like, oh shit, okay, I need to go get that sword before everybody else does and start hacking away real fast. So yeah, the rounds go by really quickly. It's a really, really fun time. This is top tier for games that you play drunk with your friends in your house. This is a really good option for that.
Fun.
Sounds a little bit like Liero. Has anyone ever heard of that?
I don't think so, no.
It's like real-time worms game that used to be around in like the early to late 90s, somewhere in
A
the middle there.
real-time worms game. That
Yeah,
sounds amazing,
it was-
actually.
That does sound
Very, very lo-fi, but very enjoyable.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a ton of zany weapons and such, physics. Good stuff.
2015's most insane multiplayer game loads IGN, so there you go.
it's not even out yet. Like it's weird. It came out in early access, but isn't its release date like?
No, it's out.
I thought it came out. Oh, maybe we just had beta codes like 2 days in advance of its release or something like that. Okay, disregard.
Maybe. Yeah, it came out June 4th.
Yeah, this
my
Duck
birthday.
Game is really good. Nick, we're gonna play it on the stream for sure.
I'm
and I
sure
think
we
you'll
are.
like it. It's a lot of fun. You get all sorts of like weird interactions. Like there's multiple ways that you can kill somebody. You could hit them with a bullet. That's like the obvious way. Or you can have like a sweet grenade throw that like bounces off a wall. That's like the second order. Or you could have a gun that shoots a net, and then you can shoot them with a net. They get trapped, and momentum carries them off the edge to their death. That's like the third order. Or you can pick up a mind control device,
Yeah.
mind control them, and just have them walk off the edge as they're trying to fight you for control of like their own movement. So there's like a lot of really creative ways to make it happen. Most of the time, it is just like shooting, but it's those extra kind of ones that make it more interesting.
There's like
Did you guys
body
ever play-
armor around. There's helmets
Oh,
that you
yeah.
can pick up. There's this metal attraction gun. I don't even know what you would call that, but you can, if someone's wearing body armor and you pick up this gun, you can zap them with it and have them magnetized to the gun, and then just take them over and shoot them off the edge so they die
Nice.
that way. There's a whole lot of variety to it.
This is the least flattering comparison I can make, but did you guys play South Park for the Nintendo 64?
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah.
The first person one?
The one where you could pee on the snowballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game was really bad in almost every conceivable respect.
Except the
However,
multiplayer.
the zany multiplayer is not entirely.
Dude, you're colored.
That's what I was talking about before.
I see it now.
He turns yellow, then he turns green.
That's magic. How'd you do that? You
his
can't
head.
even do it on call. It was just like a subconscious thing you did.
It'll happen again.
Sorry to
Mind
the audio
control.
only people. You're missing out on some serious talent here.
It's real good.
Yeah. Magnet guns is what that's called. When something is attracted to metal, that's called a magnet. How do those work?
Towerfall is also not a dissimilar comparison, but less mechanically like focused and more just like zany. It's carried less by its actual mechanics of like jumping and shooting is not necessarily satisfying, but the game as a whole is satisfying as a result of kind of like the sandbox that they let you play around in.
It feels really good when you land a sniper shot across the stage too. I mean, there's a lot of things that are just super satisfying to do. So,
what about that game Cobalt? Anybody remember that one?
It's a little bit like Cobalt. Yeah, that was the one that Mojang.
Yeah, I had to remember the name because it's been a while since I heard about it.
I don't think I ever heard anything about Cobalt.
Like a fast-paced, action-y, deathmatchy game.
Yeah, what's going on with that? Initial release date 2011?
Wow.
I feel like something happened there.
It is in public alpha right now. Still.
Weird.
Since 2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty fun, like, when I played it in 2011.
Well, that game is good. I think we should play it more. I think
Mojang was making a
buy
game
it.
called Rex Kwon Do.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Until July 2012, Mojang was co-developing a video game called Rex Kwon Do.
Wow. That sounds like something I would play on my original Game Boy, the handheld Game Boy Gray Brick.
It's the name of the dojo from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm thinking about that.
I didn't realize
as I make
that.
comparison. Yeah.
All right.
That's not. I don't think he called the dojo that. I think that's like his brand of martial arts is Rex Kwon Do.
Even better.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
The Rex Kwon Dojo.
I'm gonna look it up and see if you're
That's
right.
what
Was his
That
name
is.
Joe?
No, his name was Rex.
His name is fucking Rex.
Why would his name be Joe?
It makes no sense.
The Rex Kwon Dojo. It's a dojo for Rex Kwon Do.
All right.
Come on, man.
Joe Rex. Make it happen.
All right. Well, that's our docket. Unless we want to talk about like, all right, everybody just make an E3 prediction out of fucking nowhere because we're obligated to do that.
Fallout 4 will be there.
Okay.
Dark Souls 3 announced.
Okay.
Nintendo announces a new console.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's a
would make
bold
me sad.
prediction.
Did you guys see the freaking generator that's like Nintendo E3 prediction generator and it's
Yeah,
got
that
like
was really good.
Splatoon 8?
I like it.
The one I loved, I saw someone post a picture that had like Metroid Fat. And I was like, that's a really interesting idea for a game.
I just want
Metroid
really, really
Edition.
fat Samus Aran, dude. That would be awesome. I would totally play that.
Samus Aran?
Samus Aran.
It's Seamus Aran.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
shame.
He's Irish.
Her name is Seamus?
No, it's not. He's fucking
She's just Irish.
I was gonna believe you. Fuck.
Don't believe him.
Oh man, he's a trickster.
He was contractually obligated to say that.
Ah, there you go.
Goodness.
Luck is a skill you have to learn. Anyway,
Learn.
speaking of learning skills, I think it's time we developed a skill that Ryan has been trying to, showcase for a while here. It's Nick's Weird Games, the new format, brought to you by a man whose name I forgot on our subreddit. But you can go to our subreddit, roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. Yeah, there you go. Nick's Weird Games 2.0. Go to roundtablepodcast.reddit.com just for no reason. And while Nick goes to get the weird game that we're going to be guessing and hopefully getting some points on this time around, I'm going to look at Spotify for a second. I'm going to pick up an artist, unless Mathis has an idea of who to suggest, or even Nick if you want to hear a particular version.
I want to
this
see
time around.
MC Hammer style.
Oh, that's a good one.
And also, I'm just going to lampshade it. Like, I pick out the game now in advance of the podcast, so I don't even need to get up anymore, but I'm just going to get up and walk in a circle and come back. So
I really like that, yeah.
All right.
I wish you wouldn't pick it out because he needs, like, the natural time, the natural break
well,
to...
I want to make sure I pick an okay one for you, and I don't just pick up, like, Katamari Damacy, because
Oh, yeah, that's
what that
understandable.
is.
You can just make him go on, man. He'll keep rolling.
Keep
I
rolling.
believe in him.
He needs to figure out what he's gonna do. So
Well, it's like freestyle rapping a whole song. Why don't you just freestyle rap a whole song off the top of
I
your head?
wish you
with no
would.
beat?
we can go something else. You want to do like Black Sabbath or
I
something?
don't want to do anything.
Oh.
My jet lag is hitting me too hard. Makes me say, "Oh my Lord, thank
Here it
you
comes.
for blessing me with a game for the PS2 or 3." Then it becomes like Straight Outta Compton, and it just is like it gets like really offensive really fast.
That was pretty good, though.
I kind of half
I can
overheard
accept
that. I can't wait to hear it in full.
All right. So, with the new Nick's Weird Games 2.0 format, what we do if you missed the last episode is Nick has selected a game now. Instead of him just showcasing it for us, he's going to read the description of the game. Then he may
Saw that
read
too,
the
Ryan.
developer.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Oh, that's
Magic
magic.
fingers.
Oh, did you figure it out?
Oh, there
Yeah,
it is.
you got
Nice.
it. It
Allow
must
me
be
to
like
change.
your wedding ring or something.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Oh wait, no, it's coming back.
Oh.
Dude,
That is a magic
That's
power.
crazy.
You're like the Green Lantern. Only balder.
wow.
This is
Sorry,
freaking
audio
out.
only. That is so
I look
weird.
sick, pretty healthy.
Yeah.
All right.
Sick, pretty healthy.
Jaundice.
All right, so Nick's going to read the description of the game. He's going to read the developer, probably the publisher, the year it came out. He's going to give us more and more hints until we finally give up. And we're going to try to guess what game it is based on these descriptors.
So I'm going to start out by telling you it's a PS2 game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read you the back here.
Katamari Damacy.
No, it's not that.
Damn
I'm
it.
never going to give you that one because we
Oh.
know that game. Explore ancient Japan to find a cure. Okay? The snow goddess, Seiyuki, will battle ghosts, monsters, and evil demons to gather the necessary ingredients to create a cure for her beloved, a common boy in the town village. Though their union is forbidden, she will traverse all of ancient Japan to save the one she loves. So that's the basic story premise.
Wow.
If anyone wants to throw out any guesses, this is your moment, and then I'll read you some bullet points here if you want.
Can I get developer?
Yeah, you can. Developer was Starfish SD.
That doesn't help at all. All right, go ahead.
All right, bullet point 1, beautifully hand-drawn animations that bring the characters to life. Bullet point 2, each level... I know it's not very helpful.
No, hand-drawn
Damn, creative
animations
weapons.
actually is kind of a big deal.
Each level offers multiple paths that lead to secret locations, power-ups, and items, giving players a unique experience and extended replay ability. Replay ability.
Binding of Isaac.
No.
You
The
suck
PS2
at
game.
this.
Co-op play. Share the adventure with a friend as you tackle monsters and larger-than-life bosses. And the last one, take aim in total 360 control as you blast your enemies from all angles.
Oh,
So when-
is this a space shooter?
Since that is a bullet
Kind of.
point, my guess is early 2000s that people are like, yo,
Well-
360-degree control.
I'll give you the year. It was released on 2 platforms. One of them was PS2, the other was Wii. And the year was 2008.
Oh.
2008.
Ooh.
Released 1 year earlier in Japan for the Wii version.
Oh man. Okay, give me the like the story description again.
Explore ancient Japan to find a cure. The snow goddess Seiyuki will battle ghost monsters and evil demons to gather the necessary ingredients to create a cure for her beloved, a common boy in the town village. Though their union is forbidden, she will traverse all of ancient Japan to save the one she loves.
All right. I think I want to see the back of the box.
You want to see the back of the box?
Yeah.
We're getting no points at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I don't expect you to necessarily get this. It's not an easy one. All right, back of the box, incoming.
Is that like fucking Link to the
Oh my
Past?
god.
You're not getting much here.
No, we're not.
Yeah, maybe put it even closer. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it would focus or not.
Man.
Nothing. No
I
fucking
don't think I got no idea.
The only other thing I can give you is the publisher, which was UFO Interactive Games.
Of course it was.
Genre, scrolling shooter.
Scrolling shooter, okay. Starfish SD, right?
Is that Ryan Googling?
Yeah, I'm just gonna look it up.
Alright.
I'm not gonna spoil it. I just want to
Yeah.
know.
I want to
Alright,
see
I
what
think we
games Starfish SD has published.
That's a good idea too. Yeah.
Oh, in
No,
Europe
they developed
it was, In Europe, it was known as Legend of Seiyuki. I'm sure that probably helps a lot.
Is the word legend in the title of the game?
No.
Starfish SD?
Yeah. They developed it though.
Yeah, I typed that in and it,
They don't
Developed
exist.
it, and they published it in Japan as well.
Wow.
This company has some great games. You guys ever
Starfish?
play Spy Games Elevator Mission?
I have not.
It's just one mission. That's the whole game.
This is the description of it. It got a 2.5 out of 10 from IGN. This is on the Wii in 2007. Spy Games Elevator Mission is a first-person shooter where player tries to go through 50-story building. Along the way, player must recover 5 hidden data disks.
Only 5, huh?
It got a
Only
2
5.
out of 10 from GameSpot as well.
yo, hold up, just a second. The Punisher is gonna be in Daredevil season 2, and it looks like he's gonna be the bad guy.
All right, man. Come on now. We're in Nick's Weird Games here.
Yeah, what are you trying to do here, Mathis?
Sorry,
What's the
I saw
game?
that.
What's
Frank
the game?
Castle.
You-
This
the
game was
suspense is killing
originally
me.
a PS2 sequel to Taito's Kiki Kikai series, better known
Okay.
as Pocky and Rocky
no.
outside. Pocky and Rocky, you know that one at least.
Yo, check this
Yeah?
out. I'm going to send you a
What?
link on Skype. This is another game they published called Flower Shop. I'm pretty
Flower
sure
Shop.
this is recording
All right.
artist 50 Cent in the background of this picture.
Wait,
It
what?
is. There is no way that is not 50 Cent. And Archer is there too, apparently. What the?
What is this?
Is this the Facebook game? I can't click the link in Skype.
I'm gonna just tell you what this game is now. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called Heavenly Guardian,
Never heard.
Heavenly Guardian.
and there's the cover.
Okay,
Oh,
I have never seen that in my life.
All right.
That's Heavenly Guardian.
I've done my job then.
You
I've done
have.
that you haven't heard of.
I guess with Nick's Weird Games 2.0, the point is for us to never get points.
Yeah,
We're
and-
just
well,
never
so
gonna
it's a
know.
point for me in this case, right? I get a point. You
Yeah.
don't.
Oh, okay. So we're playing. You're the house.
Yeah.
And we're trying to beat the dealer now.
Yes.
I see.
I'm the dealer of weird games.
All right, that's good. I like it. So 2-0 so far in Nick's Weird Games Revenge.
Woo!
And
Did you
God,
guess
that
it in
is
the
still
comment
freaking me out.
sections?
Yeah, let us know if you knew Heavenly Guardian with the description. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, this
You
is
did well.
freaking me the fuck out.
It's weird.
Ready?
Not like you took the ring off, and it doesn't just do it with a ring, right? It has to be like your little hand symbol with the ring on your finger. Oh no, the ring doesn't. Okay, so it's
The
just your
ring
left
isn't-
hand then.
Check this out, all right? Left hand, right hand.
This is the weirdest shit.
It's calculating based on how much light color there is, probably, and then it's finding a balance based on that.
All right, while you attempt to determine the cause of this color switch, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for listening to this episode of the Roundtable Podcast. You can check us out on iTunes. Please leave us well, you can leave us a review. No one cares, but you can also rate the
care.
show. 5 out of 5 stars would be awesome. That definitely helps us out on iTunes. We like the reviews too, actually. I usually read the reviews on iTunes,
them
so I
all.
appreciate all those. You can go over to twitter.com/roundtablepc. Also, twitch.tv/roundtablepodcast for streams. Unfortunately, we're not able to make the most recent one, as you can probably tell. Ryan
Traveling.
and Mathis were all over the globe. If the mug does it, that's going to be crazy. Also, patreon.com/roundtable. If you like the show and want to support it, you can give us $1 or $5 or $10, whatever you can. Keep in mind, Patreon is a monthly pledge, and you can cancel it at any time. You can pledge whatever amount you want. You can pledge 50 cents if you want to. Nobody's pledged 50 cents, so.
No, I'm not saying that to the 50 cents. Look at this shit. Nothing.
It's your hand, man. Is it your ring? It's got to be your
You're
ring.
really missing
It's
out
not
if
the
you're doing
ring.
audio only. SoundCloud.com/roundtable podcast as well if you want to download the show
Yeah,
for any device that you want to put the MP3 on, you can do so. And we want to thank the Patreon supporters this month, which include Max Pillin, Garrett Stewart at Grizzlies Review, Christopher Flagg, EP Diablo, General Crunk, Kevin Calvin Walker, Alexander Spillman, Jonathan Graham, Jeff Rush, Robert, David Bradley, Matt, Julian Avelsgard, Hired Help, Caspian Crawdad, Kevin Birkland, Casey, Connor Littlewood, Rumble Muffin, Maximilian Messerschmidt, Smurfette, Logan Ray, Ignacio0891, A1 Base, Vasco, HD Weiss, David Taraoka, The Deacon, Mr. Scribe Monkey, Christopher Koog, Will Vanderkooy, Modest Ponin, Hunter DeLacy, Nemeth, Rhiannon, OIC Mudkips, Simon Iyala, Demius, Gibonis, Christopher Farmer, Garju, Batman 9502, Kaj, Starcopper, Eroticals, Andrew James Schmidt, Jij van der Vet, Grace Card, Peter R., Michael Gilbert, Unix 388, Sebastian Iorga, John Morrison, Michael Gray, Justin Positron, Brizzlebrips, Saint City Riot, Scott Cullen, Muskiff DP, Jesse Warburton, Jonathan Bloodworth, John Vedras, Dan Giesling.
Whoa!
He's a new
Like
one
that
on
guy.
the list.
Here, fuck that guy.
Alex Carbajal, Diplodocus, Jason McCoy, Zealous Compassion, Hero Alato, ZHXB, Yackers, Jonathan Collins, Pile of Bunnies, Solon Carter, Dragon Slayer Doppelganger, J. Kyle Pittman, Fred Durst, Michael Schwader, Andreas Dimebacher, Doylem, Suicide Prinny, Z Mod, Wolves at My Door, Tobias the Scarecrow, Eric Heinrichs, Dylan Kaj, Tobias Klaus, Raise Your Dongers, Chris Ramakel, Grimbo, Chris Bunch, Graham Alarton, Will Bailey, Duck Souls, Woohoo, Kelferter, Sam B, Titan, Luke Chen, JH, Paul, Nathan Wood, Chris Davies, Konstantinos Chelidonis, Jose Estrada, Benjamin Mickelson, Jordan Yarandi Poor, Sebastian Moore and Barcelo, Cooper Winans, Marvin Peach. What is that?
Nail
Nail
clipper.
clippers.
All right.
Don't stop.
The Owlcock, Julian W, Lucas Seidling, Dudok22, Jackakar, Doug Ribbit, Hammerschnitz, Tom Reese, and Big D Doc and Dude. Thank you all very much for your support on patreon.com/roundtable. We appreciate that very much. Next episode will be on the 26th of June. We'll be live. Hopefully we'll be live this time around over on twitch.tv/roundtable podcast on the 16th of June as well. That's going to be like right in the heart of E3, actually, so that's going to be exciting. We're going to be bullshitting about that probably as we might just re-stream the E3 press conference on the Roundtable.
That would be
show.
really fun to do, actually.
Actually, yeah, we might do that, so keep that in mind. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Later.
Bye!
Bye.
This is a salute.
You have to say it, you know, audio listeners, Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, goodbye.
Bye.
In case you were wondering.
This podcast is entirely listener-supported. To consider making any sort of contribution, large or small, visit patreon.com/roundtable.